May I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
May I please report? Ms. Wood, members of the jury. Good morning. My name is Aaliyah Smith, and alongside me is my co-counsel, Assistant District Attorney, Ms. Bush, and also Deputy District Attorney, Terrence Miller. I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for being here today. We greatly appreciate it. I know that there are many things that you guys could be doing. I bet it wasn't on your bucket list, but again, from the bottom of our hearts, we really appreciate you all being here. Because without you all being here today, the state wouldn't be able to present this evidence, show what we have, and present this case. Now, I want to start by throwing out a name. Julian Terry. Now, I know you just heard that name a couple of minutes ago. You also heard the name when we were in jury selection and the judge read the indictment. And I know right now you don't know much about the name. In fact, that's probably all you know. And the fact that that person is the defendant. That's where I want to talk to you all about who Julian Terry is and what are the activities that he did that landed us here today. Now, on August 28th, 2024, Julian Terry found himself in the center of a drug bust. Right inside the bulletin, right down the street at the Wing Depot. Now, the Wing Depot, that's a restaurant. It's like wings, kind of like American Deli. But the only thing here is today we're not talking about what Mr. Terry may have bought that day. We're talking about what he sold. Now, members of the jury, you're going to hear from a lot of people today. You're going to hear a lot of testimony. And I want to make sure I'm taking it slow because it can get confusing. But you all are going to hear evidence, and the evidence will show that the officers observed Mr. Terry get to the Wing Depot location around 6 p.m. on August 28, 2024. They observed Mr. Terry arrive in a Toyota Corolla. He was the passenger. There was around 2 to 3 people in the car. The evidence will show that then Mr. Terry got out of the car and met with another person. And that person, they talked for around 20 to 25 minutes, just talking, until a third party arrived. And the evidence is going to show you that the person they were waiting on was the co-defendant, Mr. Adams. Now, in this case, we're going to show that when Mr. Terry met with Mr. Adams, that there was some type of exchange. So something that the third party gave to Mr. Terry. Now, as I said it earlier, you're going to hear testimony about this conversation, or you're going to know that there was some type of conversation that was had before the third party got there. I want you all to pay close attention to what you hear, what you may see, and draw your conclusions from it. The evidence will show that after Terry's co-defendant showed up at the scene, Mr. Terry goes to his car. And while he's walking to his car, initially his hands has nothing in them. The evidence will show that after he got out of the car with that third person, aka the co-defendant in this case, there was something in his hands. And that thing that was in Mr. Terry's hands, he walked over to the person he met initially and gave him the bag. Once he gives him the bag, that person then gives Mr. Terry some money. And after that, well, that's when the drug bust kind of went left. See, that day, Mr. Terry did not get to go home and enjoy the fruits of his labor. He didn't get to enjoy what he got from that five. Because on that day, the city of South Fulton, they decided they were going to put a stop to Mr. Terry's operation. Now, I told you all that you would hear a lot of testimony today. I think it's also important to let you all know that you're going to hear from a couple of people. And I don't want to get too deep into what they're talking about because you'll see it for yourself, but kind of a highlight. You're here from Sergeant Patrick Charles, the lead investigator in this case, who oversaw the investigation. And he'll tell you there was an investigation into the defendant about his dealings and what he was doing inside of the city of South Fulton. He also tell you that on the day of the bust, there were plain officers. There were officers in unmarked cars. They were watching. He also testified that those plainclothes officers, they blended in. I mean, they blended in so well that Mr. Terry was comfortable enough to make an entire cell right in front of him. I want you to pay close attention to after the bust happened. Listen to what happened when the police officers searched the car that Mr. Terry was driving. Pay close attention to what they found, what it belonged to, and what it may have been. Now, what the sergeant will tell you is that that person I mentioned earlier that met Mr. Terry at the Wing Depot, he was a confidential informant. He was a person working with law enforcement to give details about what was happening. And we'll talk about that. We'll learn about the CI, and we'll also learn about the interactions between the CI and Julian Terry on that day. You'll also hear from Task Force Agent Mindy Askew. She'll come in and she'll tell you exactly how the CI was assigned to the South Fulton Police Department. She'll tell you about the tip that she received that Mr. Terry was selling dope inside of South Fulton. She'll get on the stand and also talk to you about her relationship with the CI as his handler, what she was able to observe, and how that relationship and the information that came from that relationship led to the arrest of Mr. Terry. You also hear from the forensic chemist, Natasha Eckman. She'll get on the stand and she'll do the science part. I'm not a science person. But when she gets up there, she'll tell you exactly what South Fulton gave her as far as evidence. What she tested, how much it was, how it looked. You'll get that testimony from the forensic chemist today. And she'll tell you that it came back positive for methamphetamine. And how much? Well, over 200 grams. We'll talk about how much that really is. Now, because of all of these actions that happened on August 28, 2024, and the involvement Mr. Terry had in this transaction, well, subsequently, he was charged with 2 counts. He was charged with trafficking in methamphetamine. And he's also charged with possession and use of drug-related objects. Now, those charges, as you heard before, is something the state has to prove. We have to prove every element of it beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's okay. Because the state is confident that after you sit through this trial today, maybe until tomorrow, and the evidence you hear, the people that you hear from, the physical evidence that you're faced with, there will be no other choice but to find Julian Terry guilty. The 1 count of trafficking in methamphetamine, and also the 1 count of possession and use of drug-related objects. Now, as I stated, we're grateful to have you all here today. And as I stated, it's our duty and responsibility to present this evidence to you, to make sure you get it in the clearest way, and to make sure we prove our verdict. But as the jurors, we want you all to pay close attention to the evidence presented. Listen closely. As I told you all, the state is going to be presenting evidence in this case, and it can get confusing. So as we go along, I promise to try to make it as simple as possible. We also want you all to simply take notes. You all have legal pads, and it's really important that when you're listening to something, you're writing down kind of what makes sense to you and probably what doesn't. But taking those notes will be really important because when you go to the back to deliberate, you'll have something to look at that you can go back on, especially after hearing from the witnesses the state has today. And that last thing, the state is asking for you to use your common sense. And I know it's hard. I use my common sense every day, I get it. But in this case, we just want you to notice what seems logical. If you're listening to testimony and it simply doesn't make sense, then to you, it doesn't make sense. Listening to something and you're like, well, 2 + 2 does equal 4, then it equals 4. But the only thing that the state is asking you in this case is to pay close attention, ask questions when you need, and to make sure that you're writing your notes and you're going back to look at them from the middle. Members of the jury, I can't say it enough. Thank you for being here. And we'll present evidence to you all today that will show you all, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Mr. Terry is guilty of trafficking in methamphetamine and also possession and use of drug-related objects. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Ms. Wood, are you going to be given an opening at this time?
I am, Judge.
When you're ready.
Good morning. Good morning.
It is.
I appreciate all the patience with us this morning, and I also don't believe that over-promising and under-delivering, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Julian Terry is not a drug trafficker. I want each and every one of you to pay attention to who gets on this witness stand. Why are they saying what they're saying? I want you to pay attention to who else should be at that defense table. Who's not there? Ask yourself, where are they? Why are they not here? And you'll get this indictment. This is what the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And I want you to ask yourself, again, who is not on this indictment? Who else should have been charged? Where are they? Why are they not here? I want you to listen to the witnesses. Pay attention closely. Who actually had possession of the drugs? Whose car was actually searched? Who had the guns? Who had possession of thousands of dollars of cash? Because I believe after you hear from the state's witnesses and evaluate the evidence presented, take the law the judge gives you, you'll apply it to this case, and you will find that the only verdict you can return in this case is not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Ms. Smith, your first witness.
Yes, Your Honor, the state calls Mindy Askew to the stand.
Ms. Smith, do you have an exhibit list?
Oh, Judge, I'm sorry. I don't recognize some of these people here, so I just want to make sure that all the state's witnesses are in the hallway.
Sure. So that is an indirect way of invoking the rule of sequestration. If you are a possible witness for either side, you should be waiting outside. Otherwise, you are more than welcome to be here to watch these public proceedings.
May I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Could you tell the jury who your current employer is?
Yes, I'm currently employed with the City of Fairburn Police Department. Yes, I've been there since 2022.
And do you have any other roles other than being the police officer for the Fairburn Police Department?
Yes, so my current rank at the Fairburn Police Department is a federal task force officer.
And how long have you been doing that?
I've been we call it a TFO or FTO, Federal Task Force Officer. I've been a task force officer since 2023.
What are some of your duties and responsibilities as a task force agent?
So as a TFO, my job is to coordinate and collaborate with state and local agencies and federal agencies to investigate things such as drug trafficking, money laundering, gang affiliations, just coordinate the interagencies to work those together.
And were you involved in an investigation partnering with the South Wilson Police Department for this case?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Could you explain that investigation?
So my involvement in the investigation?
Yes.
So my involvement with the August 28th date or the investigation as a whole?
The investigation as a whole.
Okay.
What was
So
the purpose of the investigation?
yes, so I was involved in this investigation with knowledge of narcotics that was being distributed, by Mr. Julian White or Julian Terry, the defendant.
And who was the target of the investigation?
Julian White or Julian Terry. we knew him as both.
Do you see the individual in this courtroom who was the target of that investigation?
I do, yes, ma'am.
Could you point that individual out and describe an article of clothing they may be wearing?
I believe he's wearing a blue blazer and a gray undershirt, collared shirt, glasses, black male.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that Ms. Askew has identified the defendant as the target of this investigation.
She has.
Now, I know you mentioned earlier your involvement in the case. Could you explain how the investigation was initiated?
Yes, ma'am. I received information involving the defendant dealing narcotics in the Atlanta area. We received that information and I worked jointly with South Fulton to investigate it.
Who provided that information to you?
A confidential informant.
And were you responsible for supervising or handling this CI?
Yes, ma'am. I was a handler for the source.
You just mentioned that a CI was used in this investigation. Could you kind of explain to the jury what a confidential informant is?
Yes, ma'am. So a confidential informant is someone who provides information to law enforcement involving criminal activity. They provide information that we cannot firsthand get involved into a network.
And are confidential informants usually used in narcotics investigations?
Yes, ma'am. They are used a lot for narcotics investigations.
And why are confidential informants useful in these type of investigations?
Like I said previously, they have the ability to adapt and get involved into organizations that law enforcement can't unless they're acting in an undercover capacity. They're able to report based on their own, knowledge of what's going on.
And the CI used in this operation specifically, what incentive, if any, did the CI receive?
He or she had sentence consideration.
In
Can
this
you
case,
explain just to the jurors, what do you mean?
Oh, I'm
You don't need to be specific, but what does it mean to have sentence considerations?
Yes. So sentence consideration means when information is provided that's valuable, that assists in a state or federal case, that person's sentence can have reductions or they consider their sentencing when they're at trial. So it helps with their sentencing.
and even though the CI had sentencing incentives, what made the CI reliable in this case?
The CI was reliable because the information that was given was verified. Everything that was provided intel-wise involving the defendant was verified the day of the operation.
So you yourself would find or say that the CI was reliable?
On this operation, yes, very reliable.
Did the CI, when you were going through this operation, did they have any monitoring devices or anything that the law enforcement officers provided him with?
Yes, we provided them with, or provided the source with a monitoring device.
I want to talk about this investigation specifically. How was the CI used in this investigation?
The CI had direct communication with the defendant. That communication was via phone, text messaging. The CI and the defendant communicated regarding the narcotics being purchased.
Was this prior to August 28th, 2024?
Yes, there was communication prior to the 28th date.
Now, on August 28th, 2024, were you on duty that day?
I was.
Did you participate in the planned takedown that was by the Wayne Depot?
Yes, I assisted on perimeter surveillance.
Did the CI help in that operation?
Yes, the CI was involved.
And did the law enforcement provide the CI any type of equipment on that day?
Yes, the CI was provided a monitoring device.
So you were able to monitor the CI during this operation?
Yes, we were.
Did you personally observe what was going on August 28th, 2024?
Yes, I could personally observe what was going on.
Did you observe the individuals arrive to the location?
Yes, I did.
And we say individuals, I don't want to be vague. Who did you see arrive at the location?
So where I was sitting, I was able to see Mr. Adams arrive in his black SUV. Based on where I was sitting at the time, I could not see the defendant arrive, but I saw his vehicle there once I was in a position that I could see the entire scene.
And what were they doing when they arrived?
What do you mean?
They,
Yeah.
which they?
Let's start with the defendant. What was the defendant doing when they arrived?
So the defendant was standing outside of his vehicle. Believe he had a cell phone in his hand, just communicating with, there was other individuals there as well. He was just outside, just talking and just waiting next to his vehicle.
You said that the CI was involved in this operation. What was the CI doing when you could observe what was going on?
The CI was standing next to the defendant. They were talking and waiting on another individual to arrive at the scene.
At some point, did you lose visual of what you could initially see?
Yes, based on the location that I was in the parking lot, vehicles were coming in and out because it was like a daily operating facility. There were some times when some vehicles parked in front of us, and based on the fact that we were trying to not burn ourselves, meaning get seen, because a lot of times there's surveillance outside of us, we could not move, we could not relocate. So there was times the vehicles were parked in front of us.
And at those times when you could no longer see for yourself what was going on, were you still able to monitor what was happening?
Yes, the monitoring device was still active.
Did the CI have possession of that monitoring device the entire time?
Yes,
And what did that monitoring device allow you to see?
I'm allowed to see audio and video.
Were you able to hear? And you say that you could see, but could you also hear what was going on that device?
I could.
So even during the times where you couldn't see the events yourself, you could still see what was going on.
Yes, I could.
And were you able to see and hear these events as they were happening, so in real time?
Yes, they were live events.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, ma'am. Both sides have approval to approach witnesses.
Ms. Askew, what is that I just handed you?
State's Exhibit 1, a USB drive.
Okay. Do you know what's on that USB drive?
Not sure exactly which is on this one. I believe it's the footage from the incident. Is
Okay.
that-
Did you watch the footage from the
Yes,
incident
I
prior to
did.
today?
I did.
And were you present at the time that this event was happening?
On 8/28, yes, I was.
And were you able to see and hear the events as it was happening?
Yes, I was.
How were you able to do that?
From the monitoring device provided.
Did you maintain a visual or sound feed through the monitoring device?
Yes, there was a couple times that due to, I guess, the internet, it went out, but maybe for a couple seconds, but it came right back up. There was not an extended period of time.
And the footage on this USB drive, did you sign it?
Yes, this is my signature.
And does the recording on this USB drive fairly and accurately depict what you observed and monitored? on
Yes, it
August
does.
28th? Has the footage been altered or edited in any way?
No, ma'am.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit this, it states Exhibit 1 into evidence at this time.
Ms. Wood, any objection to the admission of States 1, subject to discussions we had this morning? Oh, Ms. Rios. Hey.
No objection if it's the video.
That we previously talked about this morning.
Right, this is the video that we discussed outside the presence of the jury, the 37 minutes-ish?
Yes.
Okay, we're talking about the same one, no objection, it's admitted.
Just to clarify, Judge, everything we talked about this morning is in place
To do with the audio?
with the video.
If it's going to be played, this is just tendering it. If it's going to be produced, then what we talked about this morning applies. This gets it into the record.
Thank you.
It is now in the record.
Permission to publish, Your Honor?
As long as you're publishing consistent with the discussion we had this morning.
Of course.
Okay?
Ms. Askew, I'm going to show you the footage from the USB drive. We're going to share our screen with you in 1 second.
Does your screen, sometimes that screen has, yeah.
The house is spotlighted.
So you want it to stay, press stay.
Are you able to see that screen clearly?
I am. Yes.
We're going to start the video and we're going to play this video without sound, but I kind of want you to narrate what's going on.
So I'm going to lower the lights a little bit. Tell me if this helps. Is that better? Okay. There's one lower, but that's a little creepy. This, we don't know each other well enough yet. So we're going to go this and we'll see what happens. It's like we're filming a piece of wood.
All right, for the record, we are going to be starting this video at 1 second. We're going to start to play it now. Ms. Askew, we can't see anything at this point, but to your understanding, based on what you observed, what's going on during this time?
So right now, it appears that the CI is standing there next to the defendant at the Wing Depot parking lot.
He's doing a headstand.
We're going to pause the video at 23 seconds. Now I want to fast forward to 5 minutes because this is a pretty long video. I just want to go throughout the video to see what you observed, to see if anything changed. Let the record reflect that we're now starting the video back at 4 minutes and 56 seconds. Ms. Askew, what's going on at this time?
So it appears that the CI is just standing there. At this point, I think the CI and the defendant were just waiting on someone to arrive. They were standing outside of a vehicle, just talking. There was a lot of miscellaneous talking going on, but it just looks like the CI is just standing there. There's a lot of movement based on where the device was, and I think that's why it's so upside down and, okay. They're standing next to the defendant's vehicle.
What is the CI doing in this scene here?
So it appears the CI is going back to the CI's vehicle. Without the audio, I'm not sure exactly. It's probably a follow-up call to myself. But the CI went back to the CI's vehicle. Yeah. And the CI is walking back to the defendant's vehicle.
Do you know how far apart the two vehicles were? The CI's vehicle and the defendant?
They were not too far. It was about the time the CI was walking right then would be the time of be arriving at the vehicle. It's not far at all. You can probably see them at the same time in the picture as well. Maybe 20 feet.
So the big truck was the
The
CI's
semi.
vehicle, and this little white car is what you're saying is
It's the defendant.
Mr. Terry's.
Mhm.
Okay.
And as this one, what is your understanding of what's happening between the CI and the defendant?
At this point, it was clear they were waiting on someone to bring the narcotics there. They're out there just discussing additional things, but they were waiting on someone to arrive.
Ms. Smith, is this a witness of yours?
No.
Nope. Okay.
I want to pause the video right here. Who is this person, Ms. Askew?
It's the defendant.
And to your understanding, who is the defendant talking to at this time? What's going on in this picture that you see here?
So at this point, I believe he was getting an update for the person that was supposed to be bringing the narcotics to the location. There was a conversation that was made that the individual that was bringing it was on Washington Street. I'm not sure if that is that exact moment because I don't have audio, but there was conversations and we were updated via the CI that the individual that was bringing the pills was on the way.
Is there anything significant about Washington Street, or that's just?
It's just
that
right up
happened
the
to be-
road.
Okay, it's not far.
No,
Okay.
I believe it was Washington Street. We could not hear correctly, but that is what even the CI believed it to be.
Okay.
I just want the record to reflect that the state stopped the video at 7 minutes and 56 seconds. I kind of want to fast forward now to 21 minutes and 10 seconds while we're waiting for that to come up. What is happening from that 7 minute start, the 7 minute point that we just stopped at up until 21 minutes? Is anything significant that occurs?
No, the individuals are just waiting on this, Mr. Adams to arrive, the individual that bought the pills.
Want to start the video? Let the record reflect that the video started back at 21 minutes and 10 seconds. I know it's kind of painful to watch without this sound, but what's going on in this scene that we're looking at here?
It appears the CI and the defendant are still standing out there without audio. It's kind of hard for me to tell you exactly.
What's your understanding? They're still chatting.
So what?
They're still chatting.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, they're just talking. Yeah.
Did the third person arrive at this time? Like at this moment where the recording is happening?
I don't see that at this moment. I didn't see the individual arrive. I believe this is the one that blocked my view.
So at this point, because we don't have sound, we're gonna wait until the third person comes on the scene and we'll start from there.
Okay.
And we can't hear anything, but we continue to see the same person in the video. And who did you say that was?
The defendant. So throughout this, they're just discussing how much longer till another individual arrives.
And how much longer does it take for that third individual to arrive?
It's not too much longer after the defendant said that subject's on a certain road. It wasn't long at all. So this vehicle right here is the one that obstructed my view from where I was positioned.
The tractor.
The
truck.
semi truck that was.
So I assume you didn't have a way to let the CI know, dude, your camera is upside down all the time. Nope. Okay.
The audio would give a little bit more right now.
Understand.
And this video we're looking at, Ms. Askew, where are you all located at this time?
Where am I located?
Like as far as city or location, where are you all located?
We're in Fulton County.
And do you know why you're waiting for a long period of time for Mr. Adams to come to the scene? Why is it that the CI and the defendant are waiting on Mr. Adams?
They're waiting on him to bring the narcotics that the CI purchased.
While this is going based on your investigation and what you know, who set up this meeting between the third party, the defendant and the CI?
Who set up the meeting with the third party and the CI? My CI ordered up narcotics through the defendant, who advised his partner, buddy, bro, was going to bring the narcotics.
And that bro or person, that's the one we're waiting on. Correct?
Yes.
Ms. Askew, who opens the door to this car here?
I believe the CI opened the door.
Okay. Take us through what's happening right now as the video goes.
So I believe at this point, there should be an exchange of money. The CI counts money in just a few moments. And also, I believe it's really hard to hear without the audio because the source is talking us through everything. Yes, so this is the money that's being counted. In a few minutes, we'll hear him counting pills too and discussing that the pills look good. So there was an exchange of money right then.
I'll pause the video at this point. For the record, the state is pausing the video at, let me see, 33 minutes and 32 seconds. So based on your observations of what we just looked at and what you were looking at during the real time, what occurred at this meetup?
So it's very hard to see without the audio, but there was an exchange of money for pills. The CI discusses, the CI counts the pills and then also counts the money and does it out loud so I can hear it. I don't have eyes, so I have ears. So everything that's being done has audio. But based on the CI not wanting to, have the recording device shown, it's being kind of hidden. So, but there is audio of the transaction occurring and visual of the financials. You can't see the pills, but I heard pills being counted by the CI.
Take us through the next steps of what happens after Mr. Terry gives the drugs to the CI and the CI gives money to the defendant.
So once that occurred, I give like a red light to let law enforcement know, hey, the transaction just occurred. And at that point, South Fulton continued their part of the operation, the actual takedown portion.
And was the defendant arrested?
Yes, the defendant was arrested.
And did this happen directly after the transaction?
Yes, directly after. As soon as the CI gave verbal, there was an exchange by counting the money. And take an acknowledgement of the pills provided. That was my flag that the transaction just occurred. So
Thank you, Ms. Askew. No further questions at this point, Your Honor.
Ms. Rios, do you want the video up or can I turn the lights back up?
Put your lights back.
All right. Thank you. Your witness.
Good afternoon, Officer Askew. Is your name right?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
How did you first get in contact with the CI?
How did I get in contact with the CI?
Yes, let me rephrase. My understanding from your direct, that he contacted you or your task.
Yes, I received intelligence from the CI.
How long have you been working with him?
How long have I been working with the CI?
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm only able to disclose the source and this operation. So anything further outside of this operation, is that what you're asking, like as a whole?
I was about, first I'll ask, how long have you been working with the CI in regards to this investigation?
So this investigation was roughly, I would have to disclose others. So I don't know if I can answer that because the case is further than the defendant. So.
But in connection with your investigation into Mr. Terry's possible connection to illegal drugs, how long had you been working with the CI? Just that
About a month
class.
and a half, maybe 2 months.
So my understanding is that you can let me know if this is within what you can disclose, is the CI reaches out to you when they have so when they want you to investigate.
So yes and no. The CI directly did not. The information was provided to me that what the CI provided.
Yeah, I understand. And the CI has pending charges.
I can't speak on behalf of the CI's charges.
So you're unaware if he has pending charges or not. You can't say.
I'm unaware. Yes, I'm unaware.
You are aware that he's currently in federal custody,
I am aware of that.
and you're aware that he reaches out in order to get a sentence reduced.
I'm aware that this information was provided to me with sentence consideration.
And that's typically how it works.
For this incident, that's how it was done for me. Or this operation was source and consideration.
One moment. No other questions for this witness. Thank you.
Any redirect, Ms. Smith?
No, Your Honor, we ask that this witness may be excused.
Not quite. Questions from the jurors. If you have questions, now's the time to write them down. If you don't have any questions, then we're all done with Ms. Askew. And you can put more than one question per card. Please only write on one side of the card. The cards become part of the record and it's hard to photocopy both sides. So if you've got questions, write legibly and on one side of the card. Deputy Gordon will collect those in just a moment. All right, counsel, if you could join me outside, we'll be right back. These last few questions. I will ask her, let's say, in a second. All right, investigator. Do you know if when Mr. Terry arrived at what I'm gonna call the Wingstop area, when he arrived, did he arrive in that car solo or with other people?
There was other individuals in the vehicle.
Okay, and did you or did the investigators ever determine who those people were?
That I'm not sure. Our target was Mr. Julian. So I'm not sure. I believe that City of South Fulton did identify them, but I don't want to speak on their behalf.
Okay, it's nothing you've had a role in.
No, sir.
Got it.
Sure.
And then if you could explain to the jurors, again, if you could describe to the jurors the role of the three people I'm about to mention, the CI, Mr. Terry, and then Mr. Adams, the person who arrived later that everyone was waiting on. Who is doing what?
Okay.
Describe to the jury.
So the CI had direct contact with the defendant. There were multiple conversations discussing.
I don't want you to get into the contents of conversations.
Okay.
But if you could just describe the
Okay.
roles.
So the CI ordered narcotics from the defendant. The defendant notified the CI that Mr. Adams was going to be arriving at the location to bring the narcotics. That's what the delay, the 37-minute video is. There's no audio to it, but they're standing around waiting on Mr. Adams to arrive on scene with the narcotics.
And then at the very end of the video, when you were describing money's being counted and ultimately pills are being counted, who is physically present for that?
So the defendant is present while the CI is counting the money to make sure that there was enough money to pay for the pills that was being provided. So the CI and the defendant.
Okay. Do you have any follow-up based on that, Ms. Smith?
I do not have, thank you.
Ms. Rios? All right. Thank you, investigator. Appreciate your time.
And I wanted to clarify, I apologize. The question asked earlier was, how long were we working with the CI prior to this?
In connection with the investigation into Mr. Terry, not broader than that.
No,
Yeah.
yes, and I'm spoken correctly. It was a couple months. It wasn't 1 or 2 months. I thought we were talking about communication involved in this operation. That was not a true statement. We've been working with the CI longer than that. I said 2 months, but I thought the question was in connection
Setting
with
up this
Yeah,
transaction.
Yes. So that was inaccurate if that was the question asked.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure there was clarification on that.
Appreciate you clarifying. Thank you so much for your time. So jurors, we're gonna fit in one more witness before we do a lunch break. You guys good? Okay, the lawyers say it won't be a super long witness. The next witness, Ms. Smith, is?
The defense calls Asia Lynch to the stand.
I can't even move it. Asia Lynch, ASIALYNCH.
Good morning, Ms. Lynch. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Where do you currently live?
In Stone Mountain.
And what do you do for a living?
I do transportation.
What kind of transportation, like a?
I drive
You drive what?
motor coaches.
And do you know who Julian Terry is?
I do.
How do you know him?
We grew up together,
How long have you all known each other?
over 20 years.
How would you describe your relationship with Mr. Terry?
Right now, we don't have a relationship.
Why is that?
We're not friends anymore.
Wait.
Why are you not friends anymore?
We fell out, disagreement.
Were you in regular communication with Mr. Terry before you all fell out?
Not regular, no.
Okay. And you mentioned that you know who Mr. Terry is? Yes.
Yes,
Do you see him in the courtroom today?
yes.
Okay. Are you able to point him out and describe an article of clothing that he may be wearing?
I can't see him, his clothing. He's behind this computer screen.
You can stand up.
If you like.
He have on a blue suit jacket.
Okay. Did there ever come a time where the defendant asked you to meet someone on his behalf?
Yes.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about that meetup?
I was just told to meet the guy in the parking lot and hand him something. He was gonna give me some money.
Okay. Let's go back. When did this occur?
I don't recall the date and time.
Do you recall the year?
Maybe 23, 24.
And you said that you went to this location to meet with someone.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever find out what was in the bag?
I did.
Okay. What was it?
E-pills.
What are e-pills?
I don't know. I don't take them.
Okay. To your knowledge, are those narcotics?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Prior to you meeting up with this person to give them a bag, could you tell the jury who provided you with that bag?
I went and picked it up.
Okay. Who did you get it from?
I don't know the person.
Okay.
I was just told to go, what to get and go get it.
Okay. Did you ever speak with Mr. Terry on the phone about meeting up with this person back in 2024?
Yes.
Okay. What was that conversation like?
He'll be waiting for you.
Did he give you a location?
I don't recall the location. It was just a parking lot.
I understand. Did he give you a location? Did he tell you where to go?
Yeah, I just put it in my GPS and drove to it.
Did he tell you what time to get there?
It wasn't really a time stamp. I don't remember the time. It was just go there. They'll be waiting for you.
Okay. Did he tell you did he describe how that person would look that you were meeting up with?
Yeah.
Okay. What did he describe?
I know he was short and light skinned.
Did he ever disclose to you who would actually be at that meeting?
No, I don't recall the name. No.
How did you get to the location on that day?
I drove.
And when you arrived, where was the person you were meeting with coming from? Inside of the location, a car?
I don't recall.
Okay. When you met with the person at this location, do you all interact outside of the car, inside of the car? Where are you all at this time?
I know we interacted. I don't recall whether it was inside or outside the car.
Okay. You mentioned you were told to go to a location to give someone something.
Yeah.
And to be clear, who was that person that told you to go and give someone something at a location?
Mr. Terry.
Okay. When you got there, you stated that the person, you don't know if that interaction happened outside of the car or inside of the car?
It could have been inside, could have been outside. I don't recall that. I don't recall those details.
Okay. Take us through kind of that transaction on when you first get there, what you hand and what that person hands back to you.
I handed him a bag. He gave me money.
What did you do after that?
I left.
Okay. And where'd you go?
I went home.
Did you ever go back to Julian Terry?
I didn't.
Okay. The money that you received, where did that money go?
I sent him virtual and I kept the rest.
How much did you send him?
I don't recall that amount. It was on my Cash App.
How much did you keep?
Almost 50 to 100.
And to your understanding, what was that money for? You said you kept some money. Why did you keep it?
Because I drove.
So you were paid to drive to the location?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions at this time, Linda.
Ms. Feely? You all didn't meet Ms. Feely on Thursday. She is another colleague of Ms. Wood and Ms. Rios and an attorney.
Thank you. Ms. Lynch, you talked about you drive trucks, is that what you said?
Motor coaches.
Motor coaches.
Understood. So you work in transportation. You described getting a bag from someone that was not Mr. Terry, is that correct?
Mhm.
And you traveled to a place without Mr. Terry, is that right? Yes.
That's right.
And then you took money from a third person, is that right?
From the person that I was meeting, yes.
And you gave that bag to that person?
Yes.
And you testified that inside that bag were e-pills, is that correct?
Under my assumption, once I was told what it was.
Okay. So you just told the jury that you basically did a drug deal, is that right? You gave someone drugs in exchange for money, is that right?
Yes.
But you're not in jail or prison, right? You're here with us. Fair to say?
I'm here, Anna.
We don't know anything about whether you're not on probation or parole, anything like
On
that.
probation or parole.
And
No.
my apology. And you are not facing any criminal charges in this case.
No, not that I'm aware of, no.
Nothing further this time, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Smith, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Lynch, when you handed the bag to the person you met, did you know what was inside of the bag?
Not immediately, no. I was just told to pick it up and drop it off.
Okay. So why was it, can you explain for the jury, why is it that you went on behalf of Mr. Terry to sell these drugs?
Because he asked me to and I needed the money.
And this location that you went to, do you remember what city or county it was in? Were you in Georgia?
I was in Georgia.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions at this time.
Any recross?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Questions from the jurors? Nope, seeing none. All right, Ms. Lynch, thank you for your time. Jurors, we are at our first break since you've been sworn in and received the admonition about no outside research and not to talk about the case. We're going to break for lunch. This clock to my right says 12:32. The one behind you says 12:31. So we're going to call it 12:30-ish. Can we aim to be back at 1:30? Anyone thinks that's not enough? There should be a list of places you can eat. Did we get that? No, Ms. Hansberry is not here. We had a little list of restaurants. There's an American Deli. You may have heard that mentioned. Right outside the building, you can go down. Soon enough, there's supposed to be like 100 restaurants on Mitchell because of the World Cup. But right now, there's like a Thai restaurant. There are vending machines. Deputy Gordon can give you his thoughts about where to eat. You're welcome to eat out. You're welcome to bring it back tomorrow. You can bring your own lunch if you want to bring something in. Just don't bring glass or anything pokey. You will not get glass or stabby things through security in order to get into the jury room. But On this break, no outside research. Don't look anything up. And if you are going to chat with each other, talk about anything you want other than this case. Any logistical questions? We'll see you back at 1:30. Thank you. All right, you all can be seated. Ms. Smith, anything from the state before we break for lunch?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay, Sergeant Charles, even though he made it through a whole suppression hearing without having to wear anything, he now has a concern. Tell me what he's proposing he be able to do.
He said that he has a mask that he could wear. I think the alternative, we didn't come up with this one, but I think the alternative would be to not have his testimony live streamed if he's wearing it to conceal his identity.
Mask like just, I've got COVID, or mask
Face mask.
like he's gonna look like a bank robber?
I'm not too sure. I could ask him to describe it, but he just told me he had a mask. a face
Okay.
mask.
Got it. And he's asking if he could do this. Sometimes people call it light disguise. It's pretty heavy disguise if he's wearing a ski mask. Okay. Your thoughts, Ms. Wood, about Sergeant Charles with either a COVID mask, maybe he's got a light cough, or a ski mask, or a Richard Nixon mask.
Forgive me, this feels a little bit like kangaroo court. He did sit through a whole multiple hour suppression hearing.
That was live streamed.
Yes, and it's still on YouTube with his full face for everyone to see. I understand if he's sick, he wants to wear a COVID mask, but I am objecting to any type of mask that covers his face. I think that is ridiculous.
Okay. That sounds like the defense objects. Why don't you find out over the break what he has? Is he testifying today?
He is.
Okay. At the rate we're going, everyone's testifying today. I hope you've got everyone. So if you could find out over the break what he's envisioning, then we'll work through it. But you should let him know like the ski mask thing wouldn't work. A COVID type mask, I've got less of a problem with.
Okay, I'll confirm that.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Wood, anything from the defense?
Okay, thank
All right. You guys enjoy your lunch break. Be back a little before 1:30. And I'll mute things here. It's like transformer. All right, Ms. Rivers, are you ready?
Yes.
Let's get back on the record. It is 1:30. Everyone is on time. I appreciate that. Ms. Smith, do you have an update for us on the nature of the disguise that Sergeant Charles wants to wear?
Yes, the cover up that Sergeant Charles is referring to is a mask, like a COVID mask.
Just a COVID mask?
Yes.
Okay. It doesn't say guilty on the front, or it's just a mask? Okay, all right. Ms. Wood, I'm inclined to let Sergeant Charles wear that and just not draw any attention to it, as in ask any questions. Your objection is noted. Anything more you want to add, assuming it's just a mask and it doesn't have like a political message or a comment on the evidence on it?
No, Judge.
Okay. Anything from the defense before we bring the jury in?
No, Judge.
Okay. Let's see if they're ready. Please.
Jersey President accounted for.
Thank you, Deputy Gordon. Everyone can be seated. So it's interesting to identify who is a creature of habit, taking the same seat you had before, and who is experimental in our group. Are you big transition? No, some of you, bigger moves. Hopefully you all found lunch. Anyone try American Deli? All right, we'll see if you're back tomorrow. Good. No, it's survivable. Hopefully you had enough time. If not, we'll build in more time tomorrow, but you guys were back for us to pick up about when we wanted to, which was 1:30. We're still in the midst of the state's case. We've heard from a few witnesses, and I'll ask Ms. Smith to call her next witness, please.
Yes, Judge, thank you. The state calls Wycliffe Adams to the scene.
Can you state something for the record?
Wycliffe William Adams,
So,
WYNCLIFF, ADAMS the third.
Mr. Adams, the chair you're in doesn't have wheels, so I'm gonna ask you to scooch it forward so you don't have to lean, but we need you close to the microphone. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
So despite you scooching in, you then leaned way back. I want you to be comfortable, but we need you within kind of speaking, unless you're going to use an outside voice, need you closer to the microphone.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Adams.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good. How about you?
Oh, well, thank you. Could you explain to the jury what your involvement is in this case?
Basically just bringing him drugs.
I wanted to ask you a question regarding This case, was there any deal or agreement made between you and the defense to give your the state to give your testimony today?
No, ma'am.
And do you know Julian Terry?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know him?
Playing basketball.
Do you know him by any other nicknames?
Yeah, I know him by Jersey.
Person? How long have you known him approximately?
10 years, I'm gonna say. About 10 years.
Do you see Julian Terry in this room today?
Yes, ma'am.
Point him out and identify a piece of clothing he's wearing.
With the blue suit on.
Can I let the record reflect that Mr. Adams has identified Julian Terry as a defendant in this case?
He has.
Mr. Adams, I want to direct your attention to August of 2024. Were you in communication with the defendant around that time?
Yes, ma'am.
In what way were you connecting with the defendant?
Phone call.
What is the reason that you were talking to the defendant?
About bringing him some X pills.
Was this a situation where you reached out to the defendant or he reached out to you?
He reached out to me.
And you said to bring him drugs. Can you kind of clarify what those requests were?
Like 600 X pills.
How many times did the defendant reach out to you regarding the sale of drugs?
Twice.
I want to take those instances one by one. So the first one, when the defendant reached out to you, do you remember approximately what time or around what date was that?
Nah, I don't.
Was it before or after August 28th, 2024?
Before.
And when he reached out to you, how was this? Was it over the phone, text message?
Over the phone.
Can you take us through how that conversation went?
And he had called me after that. I think what asked me to have cocaine and X pills, and I said, yeah.
The defendant identified what type of drugs?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he tell you how many to bring?
Yes. I forgot the amount though.
How did you get the drugs?
I had got them from a dude breaking cars that I met at a bar.
After talking to the defendant, what did you believe the purpose of the meeting was?
The purpose of the meeting?
Yeah, the first time he called you to ask you to sell some, the extra.
Yeah, to buy drugs.
My question was, okay, so by drugs, I got you. So when you talked to the defendant, were you supposed to meet someone there
Yeah, at the Wing Depot.
at the Wing Depot? Did he describe who that person was?
Yeah, said a light-skinned dude,
Any other characteristics?
bald head with tattoos.
And how did you know to go to the Wing Depot?
He told me to meet him right there.
Did he tell you exactly where to meet the buyer, or was it just for you to meet him in the parking lot?
Just meet him in the parking lot.
To your knowledge, this first meeting that we're talking about, who was it set up by?
Mr. Terry.
When you got to that location, did you see the customer?
Yes, ma'am.
Take us through that interaction.
Now he basically got in the car, bought the drug, my truck.
Okay.
So he got in my truck, he brought the drugs, and that was basically it.
Who brought the drugs?
The CI.
He brought you drugs, or he purchased from you?
He purchased drugs.
Okay, so the CI gets in your truck and he gives you some money,
Yes, sir.
and you give him some drugs.
Yes, sir.
And this transaction was some X and some cocaine?
Yes, sir.
So at this point, the CI gives you money for those drugs. How much money is it?
Like 1,800.
When you leave the transaction for this buy, where do you go?
I forgot where I went, but I had left that area.
Did you get back in touch with Mr. Terry at any point?
Yeah, a few days later,
What was the point of you getting back in touch with him?
sending him his money.
When he was profiting off of the deal?
Yes, ma'am.
And after this first transaction, does he reach out to you again?
Yes, ma'am.
Around what time is this?
Around August 28th,
What was the purpose of them reaching out to you that time?
buying X pills.
Clear, are these the same X pills as the first interaction?
I'm thinking so. I wasn't for sure.
Just to bring.
It's X pill. Yes, ma'am.
Did Mr. Terry direct you on where to go for this buy?
He told me to meet him at Wing Depot,
Around what time?
like 5, 6, something like that in that area.
And did you agree to go?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was your understanding of the purpose of this meeting?
To purchase the X pills.
So August 28th, 2024 comes, do you go to the location of the Wing Depot?
Yes, ma'am.
Get there, how did you just run us through what happens?
And I pulled up. Mr. Terry got in my truck. I gave him the X pills. He gave me the cash, and he had got out.
When you say you gave him the X pills, what is it that he's getting from this bag or cup, like?
A bag, a grocery bag.
And are the pills like singled out in his bag or in smaller bags? Tell me.
They in sandwich bags inside a grocery bag.
You're understanding that Mr. Terry knows what was contained inside of that bag and took it from you.
Yes, ma'am.
Once he takes the bag of drugs from you, what does he do?
I ain't see too much after that. Then when the police had came and locked everybody up, like,
Does he get out?
oh yeah, he got out of my car, but I ain't see like nothing too much after that.
So to your understanding, what was the purpose of him getting those pills from you? Was it personal use? Was it to give to someone else? What was the reason that he was getting those pills?
To get it on someone else.
To sell to someone else?
Yes, ma'am.
Does Mr. Terry get any money in return for the drugs that he take from you?
Yes, ma'am.
Around, how much is that?
Probably like 450, something like that.
How much?
450.
While you all are in the car, after you or before you give him the drugs, do you all have any type of conversation?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so once the police come, take me through what happens.
Yeah, the police pulled up, made us get out, locked us up, set us on the ground, and put us in the back paddock wagon. Now I had my little girl in the car too, so yeah.
I want to go back to that first transaction really quick. You stated that you went to go sell drugs to the CI. Why wasn't Mr. Terry able to do that himself? Why did he ask you to do it?
He wasn't in town.
Is it your understanding that if he was in town, he would have made that by himself?
Yeah, ma'am.
Is it safe to say, or the reasoning that you went, was it on behalf of Mr. Terry for Mr. Terry?
Yes, ma'am.
All the details from both of the incidents, who did you get the information from?
Mr. Terry.
From your understanding, the location from each incident, who did you get that from?
Mr. Terry.
CI that you met with, who set up both of those meetings?
Mr. Terry.
Thank you. No further questions at this time.
Ms. Wood?
Thank you, Judge. Hi, Mr. Adams.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Mr. Adams, do you remember being indicted for this case on March 27th of last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember what you're charged with?
Trafficking, I want to say child endangerment and possession of a firearm.
And you entered a plea last week?
Yes,
But you haven't been sentenced yet.
yes,
And it's your testimony that you have not been offered a deal to testify on behalf of the state against my client, Mr. Terry. Is that correct?
yes, ma'am.
But you're hoping that if you testify well here today, they'll be lenient when they do sentence you.
No,
So you entered a plea last week, correct?
You got to answer the question.
yes,
Okay. And you understand that you have not received a sentence on that plea yet?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you understand that there's a mandatory minimum sentence that you could receive for
Yes.
these charges?
Yes,
Okay. So you are testifying here today that you don't have a deal to avoid prison?
Objection,
Yes.
that's an answer.
I'll let you go through it one last time.
Okay. What was the answer?
yes,
Okay. But you're pretty certain you won't go to prison for this case, based on your testimony?
I don't know for sure.
And this is not your first rodeo when it comes to drug trafficking, is that correct?
Objection,
Yes.
Your Honor. How prepared to evidence?
Response?
Judge, I probably should back up and lay a proper foundation, so I
Okay.
will.
You might have been a little ahead of yourself.
I got a little ahead of myself, you're correct. Mr. Adams. Actually, I'm going to go out of order here. So back to some of your direct testimony. You stated that you met up with someone 2 separate times. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And on that August 28th incident, do you recall other people being at the Wing Depot in addition to Mr. Terry?
Yeah. Yeah, it was some more cars up there.
Do you recall people specifically being there with Mr. Terry?
I went on. I ain't know everybody.
I understand. I'm just asking if you saw other people that were there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you were in your Ford Explorer, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, I apologize for the delay. Do you recall in your Ford Explorer, you've already said you pled guilty to the gun being there, right? That was in your Ford Explorer,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yeah.
And the $10,000 in cash was on your person, correct?
Yes.
One moment, Judge. Nothing further, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Smith, do you have any redirect?
I do, Your Honor. Go on, sir. Mr. Adams,
Yes.
we talked about on cross-examination that you think the penis. Is that correct?
Yes.
When you entered that plea, did you receive sentencing at that time?
No, ma'am.
And did you enter into that plea with the understanding, notion, or any type of promise from the state that you get a more lenient sentence?
Can you repeat that?
My words there, my apologies. When you entered into this plea, was there any promise from the state that you would get a more lenient sentence?
No, ma'am.
Also, those 2 separate times that was mentioned again on cross-examination, one before August 28th and the other one after August 28th, who set up those meetings?
Mr. Terry,
And why did you take a plea in this case?
just accept my responsibility, move on with my life, go on.
For the other people that was at the Wing Depot, did you interact with them at all?
No, ma'am.
Did you at any point get out of your car to interact with them?
No, ma'am.
Did you sell the drugs to the CO?
No, ma'am.
Who got into your car to get the drugs from you?
Mr. Terry,
To your understanding, did he get out of the car with those drugs?
yes, ma'am.
Until the police came and sworn, it was Mr. Terry who was in possession of those drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That's my question.
Any recross, Ms. Wood?
Very briefly, Judge. Mr. Adams, you understand, though, that since you pled guilty to trafficking last Wednesday, the judge is required by law to sentence you to the mandatory minimum in this case, unless the state agrees to something less.
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Jurors, if you have questions for Mr. Adams, now is the time to write them down. Seeing no movement in that direction. Oh, we do have some? Bring cards. Thank you for being a circulator. Then I think we can excuse Mr. Adams. Appreciate your time. Next witness.
Yes, Your Honor, the state calls Amina Dickerson to stand. The last person I didn't.
Yes. Thank you.
She's on the elevator, Judge.
On the elevator. Okay. Of all your witnesses, this is the one who should have been closest.
I'm from the office room.
Uh-huh.
Amina Dickerson, AMINAHDICKERSON.
Captain Ms. Dickerson,
Hello,
how are you?
I'm good.
I want to start off by asking you a little bit about yourself. Where are you employed?
Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
And what do you do at Fulton County District Attorney's Office?
I am a senior investigator for the trial division.
Were you involved in this case?
Yes,
Do you know who Wycliffe Adams is?
yes,
Do you know who Asia Lynch is?
yes.
Who is Asia Lynch?
Asia Lynch was a witness that I subpoenaed to come to court today.
Have you ever had a telephone conversation or been on the phone with Asia Lynch?
Yes,
Who was that?
it was last week, Friday.
Who else was on that call with you?
You were.
What was the purpose of that call?
We were trying to find out, asking her different questions about her testimony as far as what she what kind of relationship she had with the defendant, how she knew him, what she did for him, or what he asked her to do.
So in that conversation, it was basically to go over her testimony.
Correct.
Do you remember me asking her about who gave her the drugs that she took to the, buy early in August?
Yes.
Objection, Judge. It seems like we're just getting into what was already testified to. If this is a prior inconsistent statement or something like that.
I'm assuming we're getting to something that's inconsistent or it's consistent and there's a sense that somehow on cross-examination, Ms. Lynch's credibility got called into question. I'm not sure. Do you want to give us a preview without providing an answer of how this wouldn't be hearsay, what it is Ms. Lynch told Investigator Dickerson?
Yes, Your Honor, it's being used for impeachment purposes.
Okay, of Ms. Lynch?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll keep going, but you should feel free to pop back up if it doesn't go in that direction.
Understood, because my understanding just from that question is this isn't a statement that the state confronted her with and allowed her to confirm or deny. So I would argue this is improper impeachment at this point.
You haven't heard, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yes, when the state gave this direct examination to Agent Lynch, we did inquire about the meeting that she had with the CI when she sold drugs to him. That's the conversation that I'm referring to when I speak with Investigator Dickerson.
Right, no, I understand it overlaps. Ms. Feely is pointing out that if at the time Ms. Lynch gave whatever answer she gave, you felt that it was inconsistent with something else, you didn't confront sort of the wrong word, but give Ms. Lynch an opportunity to explain why she might be saying something differently now than what she told Investigator Dickerson. So the normal format would be, well, gosh, you just told the jury it was dark out. Do you recall talking with Investigator Dickerson? Sure do. Didn't you tell her it wasn't dark out? Oh, I may have, or she denies it, or whatever she says. But that's not how this one played out. Was there a reason you didn't ask Ms. Lynch about what seemed to be an inconsistent statement when she was testifying to the jury?
Direct examination, Ms. Lynch and I had previously went over questions in her testimony, so she gave a different answer. I just moved along because it was the assumption that she was going to give the same answer again. It wasn't, I was trying to tie her up and have a new witness come and testify against her. It's just in that moment, based on how the direct was going, tone, and the questions that we were asking, it was going to be the same answer again.
Okay. Is she still here or did she leave?
She's gone.
Okay. All right. Ms. Feely, anything else?
Yeah.
Okay. So unless you can get Ms. Lynch back so that either you or the defense can ask Ms. Lynch about why would you have told someone something different, then you need to not explore with this witness the inconsistency. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay,
At this time, I don't have any further questions. I'll have to get back in contact with Ms. Lynch so she can come.
great.
Thank you.
Based on that truncation of Investigator Dickerson's testimony, who had to sprint over here for that, do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, appreciate you coming by. We may get you back.
Okay.
All right? Next witness.
Oh, yes, the state would call Sergeant Charles Patrick Simpson.
Patrick Charles, Patrick. Last name is Charles, Charles.
Good afternoon, Mr. Charles.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Pretty good and stuff.
Oh, well, thank you. Could you explain to the jury what is your current occupation?
Sure, I am a sergeant over the Narcotics and Gangs Unit for the City of South Fulton Police Department.
How long have you been employed with the South Fulton Police Department?
Approximately 7 years now.
You said you're currently with the Narcotics and Gangs Unit?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been with that unit?
Been with that unit for about 4.5 years now.
Were you employed with the South Fulton Police Department on August 28th, 2024?
I was.
Can you describe your duties and responsibilities as a sergeant?
As a sergeant, it's my role to supervise my subordinates, which are detectives and investigators, who are investigating gang cases as well as narcotic cases, to oversee any caseloads, make sure all the proper protocols are followed.
Your duties also involve participating in narcotics investigations.
Yes, it does.
Can you explain what a narcotics investigation is?
Sure. A narcotics investigation is pretty much when we get presented with information that a person or persons are involved in selling illegal narcotics throughout our city. So pretty much at that point, we would do some research about the person, about the actual location, and then we'll do surveillance and document and pretty much see where the case takes us.
And when you get the tip or information about some illegal activity, what steps do you take to conduct that investigation?
We use open source websites to investigate the location, to investigate the people. We pull up some criminal histories. We also do surveillance on the actual location, see if we can identify any persons, any vehicles, such and such.
Have you received any training regarding the narcotics, working in the narcotics unit?
Yes.
What kind of training is that?
I went through a narcotic identification course. There's a narcotics conference that I go to on a yearly basis. There's other other classes for us, like how to be a narcotics investigator, how to be a supervisor of a narcotics unit. So those kind of courses.
Sorry, with the last part.
I said those kind of courses.
Okay. And approximately how many narcotics investigations have you been involved with?
For the entirety of my career,
Yes.
over 100.
And are you post-certified?
I am.
What exactly does it mean to be post-certified?
Post-certified, I mean you attended a actual law enforcement academy in Georgia where you were certified to carry on enforcing the law.
Post-certified on August 28th, 2024.
I was.
I want to direct your attention to the month of August, 2024. Were you involved in a narcotics investigation during that time?
I was.
Who was the target of that investigation?
This is Julian Terry or Julian White.
And did you see Julian Terry in the courtroom setting?
I do.
Could you point him out and describe the article of clothing that he may be wearing?
He's wearing a blue blazer next to the right of his attorney.
You're not like the record to reflect that Sergeant Charles has identified as being a Julian Terry.
He has.
So in this investigation that you were involved with the defendant, what was your role?
I was the lead detective at the time on that case.
How long was this operation or investigation considered?
It started back in April and went for a few months.
And how exactly did the defendant fit into this investigation?
We received intel from the FBI about that there was a subject that was pretty much distributing drugs within the city of South Fulton.
Who did you receive this tip from?
From the FBI task force officer, Mindy Askew, sorry.
And did you decide that this was a reliable tip?
Yes.
Why is that?
The fact that it was coming from a federal agency, due also to the wealth of intel she had, and the fact that she was using a CI, gave it some actual validity to what she was saying.
And did Ms. Askew provide you with any type of preliminary information about the defendant?
Yes. The primary information I was given was the address and where he was staying, and then what he, I believe it was his name as well. And then we just pretty much took that information and can start to do our own research.
You stated that Ms. Askew gave you the tips to your knowledge. Who was the one that told her about Mr. Julian Terry?
CI?
Stop for a sec.
This calls for hearsay, Judge.
We make the argument that this is information that Sergeant Charles found out during his investigation on who gave the tip, who was the lead investigator, and he was able to get this information from Ms. Askew because the CI told him.
So if the way he got it is someone telling him, wouldn't that be hearsay?
It is an out-of-court statement, but it is an out-of-court statement, Your Honor, but the state is making the argument that because he found this out during this investigation, I mean, would it be something that we're trying to necessarily use for its truth, or just trying to show that the CI is the person who gave the tip? The CI giving the tip is not the ultimate issue we're dealing with here.
You're not offering it as proof that something is true so much as this is what initiated Sergeant Charles's participation and involvement in the investigation.
That's correct.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Wood?
Judge, the way I heard it structured, it sounded like hearsay within hearsay, so I would object.
Okay. Why don't you ask the question again, and then I'll give you a ruling.
Okay. Who else was involved in the investigation other than Ms. Askew?
That can't have been the same question, but that's okay. I don't mind, but that wouldn't.
Right, I'm
Okay. Okay, great.
Who else was involved in this investigation other than Ms. Askew?
The CI that she was providing.
And what exactly is a confidential informant?
A confidential informant is someone who, for whatever reason it may be that they're looking to receive a lesser charge, or whether just a good Samaritan, they would come before us and offer information about any kind of legal activity that is going on, and they would pretty much help us throughout the process and, seeing how the investigation would go. They may offer persons their information. They may be able to be hands-on during the actual operation, where they're able to make physical contact that we're not able to make with the actual target. So they may help in different kind of ways.
Have you ever worked with the CI in the past?
I have
How many times?
a few times.
Without really revealing the identity of the CI, how was the confidential informant used in this investigation?
He was mainly used to stay in constant communication with the defendant. He was also used to make controlled buys with the defendant or whoever the defendant had sent in his place as his representative. And pretty much that's it, yeah.
Throughout this investigation, how many controlled buys did the CI participate in?
A total of 3.
Take us through the process of what happens with this PI before he's sent to make these controlled buys.
So the CI would meet us at a undisclosed location. At that point, my unit would search their person and their vehicle, whichever that they're driving, to make sure they are relieved of any personal effects, such as any currency, any weapons. At that point, once we deem them safe and clear, then they will get trailed to whatever location it is to conduct whichever transaction. In this case, it was a drug transaction. So they're trailed by an undercover officer in plain clothes and an undercover vehicle. They're trailed to whatever location is. The actual transaction is surveilled. Upon completion of the transaction, at that point, they're trailed away to another undisclosed location where they'll turn over whatever products that they have received during the course of that transaction. At the second time, they're also searched again of their person and their vehicle to make sure that no other currency is found and no other drugs are found.
You said earlier that how many buys did the CI participate in?
3.
I want to talk about that first controlled buy.
Okay.
When did this occur?
This occurred, I believe, in the month of July,
Of what year?
2024.
Where did the buy take place?
In
What county?
I believe it was in Decatur. The city of Decatur, yeah.
And during this buy, were you able to observe or monitor the CI?
I wasn't personally, my unit did, yes. Yes.
During that buy, did you communicate with your unit regarding what was going on during that buy?
Absolutely. We attend a briefing prior to every operation. There's a briefing where the CI is identified and the roles of each member of the unit is given out.
Who did the CI go to meet on this date back in July 2024?
Agent,
Hold on. Stop. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, if I understood correctly, he wasn't there, so he's
No.
testifying.
Stop. Hold. She's not asking your question.
Oh, okay.
I just want to make sure, because I thought he said that he was not personally there, and so I want to make sure that I'm clear, because it sounds like he's about to testify to something that he personally did not witness.
Okay. My understanding, Sergeant Charles, was that you participated in the investigation, but where you were positioned, you didn't necessarily have eyeballs on the transaction.
That's correct.
Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you were able to hear and you were a part of all the radio traffic that's going on before, during, and after that transaction?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can keep going.
Thank you. Who was the person that the CI went to go meet on this July date of 2024?
He went to go meet Miss Agent Lynch.
How did you determine that it was Agent Lynch that he went to go meet?
Based on the vehicle that was driven to a location, the person that made contact with the CI, we ran her tag and he came back as Miss Agent Lynch.
You stated earlier that after the buy, CI comes back to you?
Correct.
Okay, did the CI come back to you on this date?
Correct.
When the CI came back, did they have any narcotics with them?
They did have some illegal narcotics with them.
Did the CI have those narcotics before they left to go to the bar?
No, the CI was cleared of all weapons, contraband, everything.
Was the CI getting any government money to purchase these drugs before going to the control bar?
Yes, there is confidential documented funds that is given to the CI that is photographed and documented for him to go purchase the illegal narcotics on our behalf.
Did the CI come back after that buy with the government money?
No,
What do you, to your knowledge, what happened to the money that you gave the CI for the bar?
it was in exchange for the pills that I received from Miss Agent Lynch.
Now I want to turn your attention to that second buy.
Okay.
When did that occur?
That happened August 8th. I'm sorry, August 2nd, 8/2.
And how was this transaction arranged?
It was a communication set up between the CI and Mr. Terry, where it was an agreement to purchase 100 pills in addition with 2 ounces of cocaine for $1,500.
You mentioned Mr. Terry, did you need Mr. Adams for the second buy?
No, Mr. Julian. Yeah,
What day was this?
on the second.
Was it the same procedure you went through? You were able to get in from comms and knowing what's going on during the buy?
Yes,
Did the CI give you brief before going to the buy, just like last time, and come back to you afterwards?
that is correct.
Did you get the CI government funds before this buy?
Yes,
Did he come back with those funds?
no.
What did he come back with?
He came back with 2 ounces of cocaine and some pills.
And based on your investigation, my apologies, based on your investigation and to your knowledge, was the female from the first buy and the male from the second buy acting independent?
They were acting under the guidance of the defendant. It was said that he was instructed them to meet with the CI to purchase those illegal narcotics.
Now I want to direct your attention to the third buy. You said there were 3, right?
Correct.
When did this occur?
That happened August 28th
Where did it take place?
at the Wing Depot located on Roosevelt Highway in the city of South Fulton,
What county is that?
Fulton County.
And the day that you're talking about, this third control buy, is that the day that the defendant was arrested?
That is correct.
What were the steps taken in this case to arrange that transaction?
There was communication between the CI and the defendant where it was an agreement to purchase some more pills. The location was set for the Wing Depot. On that day, there were plainclothes detectives and unmarked vehicles stationed around the Wing Depot where they watched all parties arrive. As the transaction was completed, the call was given over the radio for everyone to move in, and then we went ahead and moved in and arrested all parties on scene.
I want to go back just a little bit. Who was at this scene?
The CI, Mr. Adams, there's some other parties as well, and the defendant as well.
From your knowledge and understanding of what happened that day, take us through what happens when the defendant and Mr. Adams get to the scene.
So when Mr. Adams so let me back up. First person on the scene was the defendant. There's a conversation, there's interaction between him and the CI. After some time, then Mr. Adams arrives in his truck. The defendant then enters Mr. Adams' vehicle, then exits with a plastic bag. Prior to the defendant entering into that truck, he didn't have anything in his hand. They didn't have much clothing, no bulges or anything like that. When he exited the vehicle the first time, he then produced a grocery bag in his hand, went and gave it to the CI, then returned back to the vehicle. At that time, he was extracted by myself from the vehicle to be placed into handcuffs.
At the time that the defendant got out of the car the first time,
Mhm.
he had something in his possession. What is your understanding of what that was?
It was the narcotic that he had the money for. He had the narcotic that he had just purchased. That we were pretty much there for. Like the whole purpose of the meeting was to purchase narcotics, and I believe that was the narcotics that he had received. Because per the communication prior to Mr. Adams arriving on scene, they were waiting for the drugs to show up. So
Stated that Mr. Adams was there, CI was there, the defendant was there.
yes,
How did the defendant get to the scene?
the defendant was driven in a white Toyota Corolla.
How many people were in the car with the defendant?
My memory served me correctly, I believe it was 3.
Now, after the takedown, could you kind of explain who gets arrested, who's placed under arrest?
Yes, all parties on the scene were placed under arrest. Mr. Adams and Mr. Terry were placed in the transport van with the other parties that were in the Toyota Corolla, and the CI was placed elsewhere in a different vehicle.
Right, the people that came with the defendant in the Toyota Corolla, they were arrested also?
Yes,
Were they charged with anything?
yes,
What were they charged with?
they were charged with marijuana charges.
And how did those charges differ from the charges the defendant and the co-defendant charged?
Well, upon the takedown, based on the location of where suspected marijuana was found within the vehicle, those are closer to those parties. Throughout the course of the investigation, no one was really identified, or no other parties were really I guess, partaking in the sale of the illegal narcotic that we were looking to purchase. The whole purpose of this meeting was to get the pills. We weren't there for marijuana. So the marijuana that was found in the vehicle was what they were charged with because it was close proximity to them. They were not in close proximity to the pills that we recovered on scene.
And were you present for this arrest?
Yes.
Were you equipped with a body worn camera at this time when you take down?
Yes.
And did your body worn camera have any defects?
No.
Was it working properly the same way as it usually does?
Yes.
Young man, I approach the witness.
You may.
What is this that I'm handing you?
State Exhibit 4 is a USB.
That's gonna change the state exhibits too, but to your understanding, what is on that flash drive?
My body worn camera for the day.
And did you get a chance prior to your testimony to review the video that's on that UPS drive?
I did.
Did you sign it?
I did.
And does this video or this USB drive contain a fair and accurate depiction of the arrest that occurred during the takedown?
Yes, it does.
Has the footage been edited or altered in any way?
No.
At this time, Your Honor, the state moves to admit state's exhibit number 2 into evidence.
Well, Judge, it wasn't specified to me which body camera this is, so I guess I'll take the state's word for it, but I don't know which one she's about to enter into evidence.
Okay, assuming it's Sergeant Charles's, and we can follow up on that, you don't have an objection to that coming in?
There were numerous body cameras. I'm not sure because an investigator from the DA's office is the one who uploaded them to Axon, so I don't know which ones were actually his, but
Okay.
sure.
Sure. So Sergeant Charles, you testified you've reviewed the footage that's on States 2. Is that footage from you or a colleague?
From me.
Okay, so it's your chest?
My chest.
Okay, all right, it's admitted. If you're gonna play it, which is fine if you wanna publish it, it'll work better if you guys run it through the cabling up at the podium. That's why we got that installed, because there'd been so much bad lag. I don't know if you think it's gonna be laggy. This is one of the laggy courtrooms. And so we had IT put something in, and the major case folks run it through that port. But if you've had good experience here so far, you're welcome to try to push it through
So far, it seems to be working.
the Wi-Fi. Okay, I reserve the right if it gets too laggy to say, head up to the podium.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And after watching this video,
What you said? Shit, the phone just fell out the home. Off the what? Off the car. My phone? Yeah. How the hell did it fall out? Grab it, it's right here. Right in front, right in front, right in front. How the fuck did it fall out? Out the window. That's wild. What do you got? Watch your crossfire. Hands up! Watch your crossfire! Watch your crossfire! Hey, I got 3 in here. Coming. Got a child in the back seat. Child in the back seat. Move it up. Can you see hands? Yep. Can you see hands? Let's start with this back one right here. What's going on? What's going on? Listen and listen very carefully. You understand? Yeah. You take your seatbelt off and get the fuck out of the car. I got no seatbelt on. Okay, then get the fuck out of the car. Don't reach for anything. Just stay calm. You keep your hands right where you're at. Okay. So on the ground. On the ground. Get on the ground. Okay. You're not stupid. Get on the ground. Okay. I got it.
Charles, who is that?
The defendant.
Put over in the back. I'm all right. Put your hand on your back. Okay. Other hand. Okay. Have it on the floor right here. Yep. Have it sit all the way down. I got you. All the way down. Okay. What the hell going on, man? Just sit tight, my man. What you need? Cows, bring him back here, bring him. Bring him here. Hey, what the hell, bro? Just hang tight, All right. I'm fucking little girl, bro. Have a seat. You got anything on you, my man? Nah, I got nothing on.
I got nothing in my pockets. I ain't got nothing on.
My handcuff too tight.
Have a seat right here, my man.
Got it way too tight.
Have a seat, right here, my man.
Man, I got sciatica in my back, but I can't.
Bro, I need you to sit down, though, my man.
This shit hot. You can't loosen that handcuff up.
I got you. Which one?
That's the right.
Go ahead.
Where the fuck my little girl at, man?
She good, man. She good.
So what the fuck happened? I can't get nothing to eat.
You good? Have a seat.
Sergeant Charles, is that how you remember the arrest and takedown?
I do.
I saw someone that wasn't, Mr. Winkler or the defendant. Who were the other people that were being arrested? Do you know?
It was the other subjects that was in the white Corolla.
Now, after this happened, did you do any searches of the car? They say everyone got there by vehicle.
Yes. After everybody was secured, we went ahead and proceeded and searched the white Corolla as well as the Ford Explorer.
Once I got your search of the white Corolla, you said who was in that car?
The defendant as well as I think 2 or 3 other males. I'm not 100%, but there was other parties in the white Corolla with Mr. Terry.
What did you find as a result of searching the car that Mr. Terry was in?
Aside from the marijuana that was in the vehicle, there were some scales, and on top of the vehicle was the grocery bag that Mr. Terry was seen exiting the Ford Explorer. That was placed on top of the Toyota Corolla. Within that bag was multiple bags of illegal narcotics.
I want to go back and say, you said that you found scales.
Correct.
What kind of scale was it?
Digital scale.
To your knowledge, what was the purpose of the scale?
So it is common that through drug transactions, the scale is used to weigh out a certain amount of product for said customer.
Where was that scale found in relation to the car?
In close proximity of the marijuana.
Where the scale was found, what side of the car, was it left side or right side?
I don't recall.
Okay. To your knowledge, who was the owner of the scale or was in possession of the scale?
It was close to where I believe Mr. Terry was sitting.
And the narcotics you said you found on top of the car, were those drugs field tested?
Yes.
And was it weighed at all?
It was weighed. I'd have to refer to my report to tell you exactly the number, but yes, it was weighed.
What's the process once you all search a car or house or anything and you find narcotics?
We document, if we have a CSI tech, they would take pictures of where the narcotics is found, and they would document where it was found and who was seen in possession or in close relation to said narcotics.
The drugs that were searched and taken from this car, from your personal knowledge and experience, was it an amount that was used for personal use or distribution?
Distribution use.
How are you so sure about that?
Due to the amount, due to what because it was pills. So normally your average user may use a few pills, maybe like 1 or 2 a day. But this was like in excess, I believe, if I'm guessing, correction, to my best of my knowledge, I believe the number was 300 and something grams of the pills, which is well over what any average person would be using. It would be and plus how it was packaged as well.
How it's packaged?
Correct. It was packaged in separate bags. Like there was a certain amount of pills per bag. So that tells me that said distributor would distribute each bag for amount or break down the bags to smaller amounts to sell as well. So that goes to further show that it's not for personal use.
Is the general street value of someone using drugs for personal use versus distribution, is that a large discrepancy?
Yes.
How so?
Because if someone purchasing illegal narcotics to use for personal use, they'll typically purchase a smaller amount, which can range anywhere from $50 to $100 maybe for personal use. But we had given the CI a large amount of money, so he wasn't purchasing for personal use, even for distribution amount.
Did all 3 of the control buys that we talked about today, they follow the proper protocol?
Yes.
How you will operate investigations?
Yes.
And did your investigation reveal that the defendant was involved with selling narcotics?
Yes.
And is it unlawful to possess drug-related objects off the scale when found with narcotics?
Yes, it is.
Is it unlawful to possess methamphetamine?
Yes.
Is it unlawful to traffic methamphetamine?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions at this time.
Ms. Wood, questions for Sergeant Charles?
Yes, Your Honor. Hi, Sergeant Charles.
Hello, ma'am.
Thanks for being here today.
No problem.
You can leave it right there.
Okay.
They'll collect it. Thanks.
All right, you said you've been in law enforcement about 7 years, is that correct?
No, that's not correct. I've been working with the city of South Fulton for about 7 years.
Oh.
I've been in policing for over 12 years.
Okay, and then you've been with South Fulton for 7 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've been in your current role as a sergeant for over 4 years?
That's a negative. I've been working on the unit for about 4 years. I've been a sergeant for about a year, going on a year.
Oh, okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so given you have ample experience, you are well-versed in conducting arrest,
Yes, ma'am.
and you've done, I think you said, over 100 investigations.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are familiar with how to correctly draft reports
Mhm.
and execute search warrants.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know the importance of getting the information correct in documenting what happens at an arrest. or
Yes,
a
ma'am.
situation. Okay.
Proceed.
Excuse me.
So I wanted to circle back to the early August 2024 incident. You testified on direct that it was Mr. Terry, and then Miss Smith asked you, did you mean Mr. Adams? And you said, no, it was Mr. Terry. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And is that still your testimony on direct, that it was Julian Terry involved and not Winthrop Adams in the
Yes.
early August situation? Okay. If I were to show you a report to refresh your recollection, would that help you understand what happened on that day?
Sure.
Judge, may I approach the witness?
You may. You both have continuing authority to approach witnesses.
On page 5 of the report, if you could just review that.
Okay.
Does that, so is it still your testimony that it was Mr. Terry and not Mr. Adams there that day?
So the question was, who did we make contact with for that day? We made contact.
I'm sorry, maybe I asked my question poorly that way. So there was the confidential informant, correct?
Correct.
And one other individual on the scene that day.
Correct.
After refreshing your recollection, who was it that was there on the scene that day?
Mr. Adams.
Thank you.
Yes.
So the hand-to-hand transaction in early August was Adams and CI.
Correct.
Ms. Lynch was the earlier one, Ms. Lynch and CI.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, we saw the body camera footage from August 28th.
Okay.
You, from what we saw on the body camera, it looks like you were arriving to the scene after some interaction went down. Is that
Yes,
correct?
I was part of the takedown unit. So I came once the sign was given for everyone to move in, for arrests to be made. That's the role I was playing that day.
Okay, so what you saw was after the incident or the alleged sale of drugs?
Yes, yes.
All right, and Miss Smith had asked you a couple of questions pertaining to the vehicles on the scene.
Okay.
So there was, I think we've heard the 2022 Ford Explorer belonged to Mr. Winthrop Adams.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you searched that vehicle.
I can't say for a fact that I personally searched it, but I know my unit searched it and I did go into the vehicle as well. So it was interchangeably. Like, I can't say I only searched one car, and my hands were placed on both cars at some point throughout the searching.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a little confused.
Hmm?
So I'm just looking at your report here. So it's written as if you conducted the searches of the
Yeah.
vehicles.
So as a lead detective, I am there to make sure that it's not only me that's working on the case, right? It's my unit as well. So I may have my constituents search the vehicle as well as I will search the vehicle as well. So they may do a primary and I may do a secondary, or they may do a primary and I do a secondary, back and forth. So, but I did put hands on both cars.
Understood. Thank you for clarifying.
Hmm?
Do you recall what you recovered from the Ford Explorer?
I believe it was just a firearm.
And then the Toyota Corolla that had Mr. Terry and other people inside of it.
Mhm.
There were no drugs found actually inside that vehicle, correct?
I'd have to refer. I knew it was marijuana on scene. There was marijuana on top of the vehicle, and there was marijuana inside the vehicle as well. I don't remember where exactly. I'd have to go back to my report.
And speaking of those other individuals that were on the scene, so you made all of the arrests on the scene that day, correct?
Well, not me specifically. I didn't put handcuffs on everyone, but
But if your name is on the arrest warrants, are
Right.
you, so you're.
because I'm the lead detective,
Okay.
so I can take the testimony of my fellow post-certified officers to go ahead and put in my report as well. I mean, I can't, unfortunately, I only have two hands. I can't arrest everyone on scene. So definitely, I had some help.
Okay. And so if you arrested them at that point, someone in your unit thought there was probable cause, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so in the Toyota Corolla, do you remember there was Mr. Kyle Dixon
Okay.
and Mr. Austin Malone?
Okay.
Okay. And they were both charged, correct?
Yes.
And so you made the arrest because you believed there was enough there for the arrest. After that, what happens to a case once you swear out warrants and they're arrested? What happens to the charges after you're done with the arrest?
What happens? I'm not sure I followed.
Okay, let me ask it a different way.
Okay.
Who is responsible for making charging decisions for a case after the arrest?
The lead detective.
Okay, and then do you pass the file off to anyone?
No, once the arrests are made, then the citation charges, correction. Once the charges are made and arrests are made, I present the case to a judge via the EWI system. And then the judge will either say, yes, I agree with your charges, or no, I do not agree with the charges. And then in the case where the judge will not agree with my charges, then the person will get released. And if the judge does agree with my charges, then they'll be taken off to jail.
Understood. So then after all of that is completed, do you, how does your participation make its way to the district attorney's office?
I submit my case file, my report, and other evidence through the Axon system, which is what our body cams are on. So everything gets submitted through there. And then I guess any additional information, the district attorney would request it through open records.
So ultimately, after you do that, whatever happens to those charges and who's charged is out of your hands.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to back up. So being the lead investigator here, we've already covered that you did the police report. Did you complete any other documentation as part of this, in addition to the police report and the arrest warrants?
Did I complete any other paperwork? As far as what exactly?
Okay, so when you conduct an arrest at a scene where there is firearms and drugs and evidence, is there a process that you have to follow to make sure that everything is properly documented?
Yes, they get placed on the property and inventory form.
Okay, do you remember doing the property sheet in this case?
I may not have done it personally, but someone on my unit assisted me with it, yes.
Okay, one moment, Judge. Thank you. Judge, I am approaching Sergeant Charles with what has been marked as Exhibit 1. Do you recognize this, Sergeant Charles?
Yes, I do.
And what is this?
This is our property and evidence form that is on digital copy.
Okay, and has it been altered since you last saw it?
It does not appear to be.
It probably looks different because you usually see it on an electronic system and.
No, it's just been 2 years since I've seen it.
During this time, I would to introduce what's been marked as Exhibit 1.
And it's the property form, not just generically for South Fulton Police, but for this case.
Correct.
Any objection, Ms. Smith, to defense 1? It's admitted.
Sorry. All right, so Sergeant Charles.
Yeah.
You are listed as the main officer that completed this property sheet, correct?
Yes,
Okay, now, do you remember, so there's 5 people that ultimately were arrested on that day, correct?
yes,
Okay. And we've already covered how important it is to document everything that's taken from the scene, right?
yes.
All right. So do you recall from this property sheet who you recovered the pills from?
The
And I
pill,
can show it to you again if you need.
yes, no, I don't. The pills were not recovered from a person. They were located on top of the Toyota Corolla. So at the time of the takedown, no one was in physical possession of the pills.
I see. But you wrote on the property sheet that the owner of the MDMA pills was Wyncliffe Adams.
Yeah, that's where they originated from.
Okay. And you also, let's see. You also attributed the firearm that was found in the Ford Explorer to Mr. Adams, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And I know that the incident location is the Wing Depot, but no one's really dove into the Wing Depot. One of the arrestees was an employee of the Wing Depot, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you also recovered guns from the Wing Depot.
Correct.
Objection, relevant.
What's the relevance
I'll move
of?
on, Judge.
Okay. Next question.
Speaking of the search warrant, haven't gotten there yet. So as part of the documentation for this case,
Mhm.
you have the ability to swear out search warrants if you need to continue your investigation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you recall getting a search warrant for the Wing Depot?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance again. We're not investigating in depot what happened at that location. Solely what happened between the defendant in this case.
Okay, it still may be relevant. What's the relevance of whether there was a search warrant for the Wing Depot?
Because I need to ask him why he didn't get a search warrant for something else.
Okay, so you're not going to dive into what was in the affidavit or anything like that? Okay, you should keep objecting, but I'll be mindful that we're kind of skirting around whatever was going on at the Wing Depot. It's apparently a launch pad for a different question. So ask again.
So you took out a search warrant for the Wing Depot, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's the only place or person or car that you took a search warrant out for this case, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Correction. In relevance to the entirety of the case, that is incorrect. I have also done search warrants on the cell phones of the people, of the occupant, of the people that were arrested that day. So no, the Wing Depot was not the only search warrant I did.
okay, thank you. When you, so, sorry to flip around, but when you do these arrests, everybody that's arrested is searched, like after they're put in handcuffs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You did not find any pills on Julian Terry, correct?
No.
You did not find a scale on Julian Terry's
No.
person, right? But you found $10,000 in cash on Wyncliffe Adams' person.
Yes.
One moment, Judge. Nothing further. I appreciate your time.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Smith, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. Special look follow question, Sergeant Charles.
Hmm?
I want to talk about the search of the cars.
Okay.
Talk about primary search and secondary search. The next Toyota Corolla that the defendant was driving in, did you do a search of that car?
Yes.
Was it a primary search or secondary search?
Honestly, I don't recall.
But you searched the car.
I did.
So I want to go back to that second transaction we talked about. Clear the record, you said that it was Mr. Adams. That was with the C on that time.
Yes.
on that day.
I may have misheard your question. I apologize.
But to your understanding, who was Mr. Adams there, by the direction?
Mr. Adam was there, who was sent by Mr. Terry, because all the communication from the CI was to directly Mr. Terry. And Mr. Terry was the one to facilitate the meeting. For whatever reason, he was not there in person, but Mr. Adam was there as a representative of Mr. Terry.
On the day of the arrest, we saw you pull up on your body cam, good to see you, take down. Were you able to monitor the transaction as it was happening?
Yes, the plainclothes detectives, as I expressed before, were stationed around the actual Wing Depot in multiple vehicles. And TFO asked you was pretty much watching and listening to the whole transaction from the time we pulled up to the actual takedown by a device called Scarecrow, which was monitoring the traffic. So whatever she heard and saw, she would relate to us via radio traffic. So we knew exactly at what point the transaction had been completed. Therefore, we was able to move in.
Listening to this operation in real time.
Yes.
You were asked a couple of questions on our examination about individuals who were not charged in this case. Did those individuals ever come up in your investigation into the defendant?
No.
And why were they not charged with trafficking and methamphetamine that day?
Due to the fact that they did not come up at any point during the course of the investigation, we didn't know who they were until we actually identified them that day of the takedown. So we did not believe that they were tied into the actual trafficking of the methamphetamines.
What was the reasoning why the defendant in this case was charged with trafficking methamphetamines, but not the other people that came to him?
Because he was the one that facilitated and arranged the meeting of the sale of the methamphetamines at the Wing Depot. And throughout the other controlled buys, he was the actual facilitator.
During that time, during the operation, because you could hear it as it was going on, at any time that any of the other three individuals in the car possessed the methamphetamine?
No.
Who were one of the people that was not the other three people in the car that did possess the methamphetamine?
The defendant.
Is that the reason why they weren't charged with methamphetamine?
That is correct.
We talked about the inventory report, property report. Could you tell the jury and explain why Mr. Adams' name was listed and not the defendant's?
The reason why it was listed under Mr. Adams' name because that's where the pills originated from. So that's who brought them to the actual scene. Although we did see Mr. Terry leave the vehicle, the Ford Explorer, with those same pills and placed them, and which was later on recovered on top of the Toyota Corolla. Just for the simple fact that he was the one that brought them to the scene. It was the reason why we put it under his name. But we did see the pills in not only Mr. Adams' possession, but Mr. Terry's possession as well.
After the defendant got out of Mr. Adams' car, who did he go to next?
He went to CI.
The CI just have another conversation. What happened?
He handed over the drugs to the CI.
CI handed anything back to the defendant?
I believe it was the U.S. currency, which was the payment for the actual pills.
And he stated on cross-examination that during the takedown, putting Mr. Terry in handcuffs, he didn't have any methamphetamine on him.
No, he barely was wearing anything. He had on, as you can see, he had a t-shirt, an A-neck t-shirt. I don't know what the correct verbiage is.
Don't look to me.
He was wearing a white beater and shorts. Like he didn't have a lot of clothes on, so there was nowhere to even place those kind of stuff. Yeah.
When Mr. Terry gets out of the car and walks back to the CI, where are the drugs placed?
The drugs are eventually placed on top of the vehicle.
So does it make sense why Mr. Terry didn't have the drugs on him?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And did the Wing Depot in this case have anything to do with your investigation into Mr. Julian Terry?
No, not at all.
All right. And last question, we did talk about Mr. Adams giving the drugs to Mr. Terry in this case, but who eventually possessed the methamphetamine?
Mr. Terry.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Any recross?
No, Judge.
Jurors, questions for Sergeant Charles? I see at least one. Take your time, write down. You were very legible. Keep up that legibility. Please. So, Sergeant, a few more questions.
Sure.
Do you know who placed the bag of pills on top of the Corolla?
Personally, no, I do not. I just know who's last seen with the pills and who gave the pills to the CI, which was the defendant. After that, we have received once that transaction happened, we have received the call sign to move in. So at that point, I wasn't listening to radio, then we were moving in, so I didn't physically see.
I think you've testified to this, but the way the bag with pills in it got from the Explorer to the Corolla was by whom carrying it?
By the defendant.
And that's Mr. Terry?
Correct.
Okay. You just said, again, now, Mr. Terry left the Explorer with a bag of pills and ends up over by the Corolla. But in watching your body cam, we also see you and a guy with a really big gun getting Mr. Terry out of the Explorer.
Right.
So give us more of the timeline.
So after Mr. Terry exited the Explorer with the bag of legal narcotics, went over to the CI, gave the CI. CI then gives him the US currency. Therefore, Mr. Terry ends up coming back and enters the Explorer and closes the door. At that time, that's when we moved in, and that's when the GSP trooper extracted Mr. Terry out of the vehicle. That's how he gets back into the car.
And the money that was used to complete the transaction on August 24th of 2024, the one we saw through your body cam.
August 28th, Your Honor.
August 28th, yes, that day, whatever it is. Was that also government currency or whatever phrase you've been using?
Yes.
Okay. And how much was it?
To the best of my, I don't remember. I remember the second control buy, which should have been for the same amount, was $1,500.
Okay. And so you think this third one may have been 1,500 as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. That's it. Do you have any follow-up based on those questions, Ms. Smith? Ms. Wood, anything else for Sergeant Charles?
Sure, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your time. You can leave the thumb drive right there. The lawyers will get that. Appreciate it. You sure may. You guys, again, you can come up to the witness stand without asking me. I'll tell you if you need to knock that off. So you guys good going with another? It's only been an hour and a half. You should be fine. I'm not seeing anyone saying they need a break. Next witness.
Same call, Carl Beckins.
Ms. Bush. All right.
Carl Mickens, last name spelled Mickens.
Mr. Mickens, how are you today?
I am beautiful.
Good. What is your current occupation?
My current occupation is working for South Fulton Police Department at this time.
And how long have you worked?
3 years.
And what is your role in the South Fulton Police Department?
At the time right now, I am with Property and Evidence and Fleet.
Are you post certified?
Yes.
Okay. We've gone over previously what post certification means. I don't think we need to revisit that. I want to take you to an incident on August 28th, 2024. Do you recall collecting evidence at a scene that day?
The evidence was brought over I pick up the evidence in the locker. Once they contact me and say the evidence is in the locker, I go unlock the lockers. I pick out the narcotics or whatever's inside there of the lockers and take it to my property and evidence location.
Okay. On that date, what type of evidence did you handle or collect from a locker?
A lot of narcotics, weapons, and property of personnel.
And this is all involved in one matter we're here for today?
Correct.
What was your role, if any, in maintaining or documenting the evidence that was collected?
Well, my role is collecting the evidence, and once it comes into me, it's to make sure the bags are sealed and taped down where nobody can tamper with it. Once they have sealed it and taped it down, I also make them the initial of the tape. So if it has been tampered, we know that it's been tampered with because the seal has been broken. So once I receive all that information, we process it. Once we process that information through our computer system and everything, we put it in a contained locker and have it all set up.
And I don't believe I asked Officer Mickens, but how long have you been performing this role for South Fulton?
For property and evidence, over 2 years.
And prior to that, were you anywhere else in law enforcement, or did you have a?
No, ma'am, I wasn't. I was with resource officers at Young American Christian School. And then I also worked at CNN for security officers downtown.
Right, but you stated you've been doing this for at least 2 years.
3 years.
3 years, okay. And you were doing this at the time of the incident, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you submit the evidence that was collected to the GBI?
I did.
Okay. And what is the standard procedure for securing the evidence and documenting the chain of custody to get it to the GBI properly?
So once the evidence comes to me and we process it and everything, like I stated before, I have them fill out 2 forms of paperwork, and that's for them to take down to the GBI. Once I get them 2 forms, I take it to the GBI and I stamp it and date it for the GBI, 1 copy for GBI and 1 for myself. I place the items inside the GBI lockers, lock it up, and it's sealed. The GBI also takes it from that process.
One moment, Officer Mickens. Attorney Wood, I don't know if we need to see. Okay. Right, thank you. Officer Mickens, I'm going to approach you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Here's a glove.
Thank you.
And what have I just handed you?
You handed me a glove. We always put on gloves.
Oh, yeah, other than the glove, what have I just handed you?
You handed me some narcotics.
Okay, do you need 2 gloves?
One's good enough.
We've got plenty.
I'm good with one.
All right, handed you narcotics. How do you recognize it?
How do you mean what?
These particular narcotics, how do you recognize them?
And when they are, or?
No. How do you know that those are things you may ever have encountered in your life before, that bag and its contents?
Oh, the way it's sealed, the case number on it, and it has the address and everything on it.
Okay, and what is the case number that you see?
Case number is 2024-007704.
Okay, and is there something else written on that bag?
Yes, it also has the address where they also collected it from.
Okay, what's that address?
It'll be 3389 Roosevelt Highway, South Fulton, Georgia.
All right, that's located in Fulton County, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and that is the incident location of the matter issue that we're doing today, correct?
That is correct.
All right, is the exhibit in the same condition that you, first received it in?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and, let's see. All right, does not look like they've been altered, tampered with in any way, correct?
No, ma'am. Has not been altered or tampered with.
Right, at this moment, the state moved to, admit exhibit 4 into evidence. 3.
You can call, as long as it's higher than 2, you can have any number you want.
Whatever number it is, we don't.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go with 3.
Thank you. All right. Officer Mason, I'm gonna grab that back and just, you
I don't need my glove anymore.
don't need your glove.
You know what? That's for you to keep, though.
Oh,
Right.
Good.
All right.
Congratulations.
And then, so after submitting the narcotics to the GI crime lab, did you have any further investigation into, or any further involvement in securing the evidence or any involvement with the evidence in this case?
No, ma'am.
You want to know? All right, nothing additional from the state.
Ms. Feely, do you have questions for, is it officer?
Yes, sir.
What are the two, it's not quite sergeant yet,
Corporal.
so it's corporal?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's not officer. Any questions for Corporal Mickens?
No questions. Thank you, Corporal.
All right, any questions from the jurors? Seeing none, Corporal, thank you for your time. Enjoy the glove.
Thanks, sir.
You good? Pardon? Okay. We're going to take a quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be our afternoon break. And when we come back, we'll take up the state's next witness. As during your lunch break, although this break will be much shorter, no outside research. Don't talk about the case. Talk about anything else you want. How did Florida manage to lose that game? How much money did you lose, Deputy Gordon, on that Florida game? No, let's not ask that. That would be outside research. We'll see you back in about 10 minutes, please.
How about the jury?
I don't think it's. Roscoe's game is going to start soon. All right, you all can be seated. Ms. Smith, by my, it's not even a count, just process of elimination, you're down to one witness.
That's correct.
And she's here?
She's here.
So we can handle that today.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Niles her fingers are aflame. She's typing fast, pulling together a draft charge. My thought is when you rest, which I assume you'll do after Ms. Eklund,
We have to double check to see if we should come back to board.
I won't make you rest. After Ms. Eklund, we're going to send the jurors home because you may be resting then. I got to talk with the defendant about a few things and we'll do the charge conference. Does that work for the state?
That works.
Okay. Ms. Wood, does that work for the defense? Okay. So it'll be Eklund and then jurors can go home. We'll get them back here tomorrow morning. And hopefully we can do our charge conference. Anything from the defense before we break?
Okay.
All right. Enjoy the break.
We analyze if the substance is a narcotic or non-narcotic.
Yes, I have.
And have done this frequently.
Approximately 4,000 times.
I want to bring you, well, let me ask this first. Have you performed tests on drugs that you've received or items that you've received submitted as evidence in criminal cases.
Yes.
And during the course of your career, have you had the opportunity to conduct the same chemical substance analysis on suspected methamphetamine?
Yes, I have.
All right, and would you say that you've done that quite frequently?
Approximately 2,000 times.
All right, and have you previously testified in court as a forensic chemist?
Yes, I have.
And Your Honor, at this time, we would move to state that Ms. Eklund is an expert in the field of forensic chemistry.
All right, and Ms. Feely, it sounds like because you and Ms. Bush have discussed this in advance, you are not challenging Ms. Eklund's qualifications to be designated as an expert in the field of forensic chemistry. Got it. So Ms. Eklund, for purposes of these proceedings, you are an expert in the field of forensic chemistry.
Thank you. Okay. Is there a particular process in which the GBI receives evidence for testing? And if so, could you explain that process?
Yes, so there are three main ways that we receive evidence. In this case, that was through the lockbox system. So that is a two-way locker where one side faces the public and one side is on the laboratory side. Evidence is placed on the public side by someone from the agency and then retrieved, and then the door is closed and that door is then locked. So that evidence can no longer be accessed from the public side. It is then retrieved on the laboratory side by someone from the laboratory who then takes pictures of the evidence, scans any documentation that comes with it, and compiles all of that into an electronic case file.
Okay. When it is, or I should say, since you received it, when you receive it, are the drugs normally packaged a particular way or presented in a particular way?
Yes, so it depends on the type of drugs, but they are typically either in some sort of a sealed plastic bag or a box sometimes, or even a plastic container, depending on the case.
And so I want to bring your attention to the matter of issue. Did you do testing for a case number, I'm going to read it out, 2024-1023-204?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and let's start. I'm going to approach you. Change some things. We're going to start with gloves. Scissors. I'll place this right here. Okay. All right, Ms. Eklund, what have I handed you?
This is DOFS. DOFS is the Division of Forensic Sciences at the GBI. This is item 11 in the case that you just referenced.
Okay, and so you just say this is what you've received regarding this case, correct?
Yes.
And let's see, did you examine these drugs?
Some of them, yes.
Okay, and why only some of them?
So we test to various thresholds, and those are weight thresholds that are in the law. Sometimes this will be something like 200 grams or 400 grams. So if there's a 200 gram to 400 gram range, we don't need to test anything after we reach 200 grams.
With this particular evidence, I know there's some other markings there. Where did you receive this evidence from?
This was from the South Fulton Police Department.
Let's see. All right. Now, you've got some scissors up there. I'm going to ask you if you could cut open the large bag, not the small. I'll ask you a few questions after that.
Would you like me to take them out of the bag?
Yes, please. Because there's a bit of a recess there.
Oh, yes.
You might have to hold one bag up just so that the jury may be able to see to correspond with these questions. Can you describe what the contents of these bags look like?
These are tablets in 4 different colors. Each of the colors has its own shape. So there's yellow, purple, green, and blue tablets.
Okay. And are the tablets uniform? And do they have like distinctive markings or anything?
So all of the tablets of the same color are consistent with each other, but they are different. The different colors are different shapes from each other.
Is it like Flintstones vitamin? I mean, like is the green one a dinosaur, or it's like one is square and one is round?
So the green one, I believe, is a $100 bill marking. The purple one is that like theater drama mask that you would see. The yellow one is the shape of a gun. And the blue one has the UPS logo on it.
It's like adult Lucky Charms marshmallows or something. Okay.
All right, I'm not gonna approach you again. Now, you stated that you did testing on these particular drugs, correct?
Yes.
Okay, what if I just handed you?
All right. This is a copy of the report I prepared for this case.
Does it look like it's been altered in any way?
No.
Is that a fair and accurate presentation of the report that you conducted on the drugs at conclusion of fair and accurate?
Yes, it is.
At this time, the state would move to admit to evidence State's Exhibit 4.
No objection, Your Honor.
4 is admitted.
And the state would move to publish.
Any objection to publishing?
No.
You may publish.
Thank you. All right, I'm just gonna ask you a few questions from your report. If we,
The screen in front of you should have it on there. What does it say?
There we go. It says the meeting is being live streamed.
Okay, is it?
I can click
Say
it.
you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Is it a touch screen?
It is a touch
Okay.
screen. Oops, it's not a knockover screen. It's touch.
Sorry.
Great.
all right, so when did you complete your report?
On February 20th of 2025.
And how long is your report?
I believe it is 6 pages. Yes, 6 pages long.
All right, is preparing this particular report, in your experience, take longer than your average?
Yes, though not longer. It's not the longest I've reported, but it is one of the longer ones for sure.
Okay, and why is that?
Just because there were so many items in the case that I tested.
All right, and so what type of examination did you perform or what type of test did you do on the drugs? And I know that's a loaded question because we are lay people. So as best as you can, please tell us what tests that you did on those drugs.
So I did 3 tests. The first is I took the weight of each of the items that I tested. And then on some of the items I tested, I performed thin layer chromatography, which is, we call it TLC. That's a separation technique that allows me to see what different compounds might be present. I also performed gas chromatography, mass spectrometry, GCMS. That I performed on all of the populations I tested, and that's a 2-part technique. The first part separates any components that might be present in a mixture, and then the second part gives identifying information about those separated components.
I know that we've heard a few drug names be tossed around here. The first thing I'm going to ask is conclusively regarding the analysis of the drugs that were retrieved in this case, what were the drugs identified to be?
Everything that I tested, I confirmed was positive for methamphetamine.
We have heard the drug name ecstasy thrown around at times. Can you please explain the difference?
Sure. So ecstasy is not necessarily a drug name. It is a name used commonly to refer to these types of tablets where you were saying like Flintstones vitamins, tablets that come in many different colors and shapes and often have logos that are common brands. They are typically understood by the public as something that contains MDMA. However, most of the time when we test them, at least nowadays, we do not find MDMA present. They can contain anything, and that's why we test them, is to find out what they actually do contain.
And MDMA is different from methamphetamine.
Yes, MDMA is methylene dioxymethamphetamine, so it's methamphetamine with a little bit on the end.
And you did not find MDMA when you did your chromatography with these pills?
No, I did not.
And do you recall the total quantity of methamphetamine that these drugs were found to be?
The total quantity of what I tested was just over 205 grams.
All right. And if we look through page 4, I should say starting at page 4. I can't be this bad at this. One moment.
That's why you have trial partners.
Oh, man. As we pull it up, it'll start to say show results and conclusions, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and normally, just kind of get us around 30,000 foot view of what results and conclusions normally look like in a report like this.
So they will have the evidence submission number, which is our item number. And then under that will be analysis confirms the presence of, and then whatever the drug name is that we confirmed, if there was in fact a drug present. In this case, these all say tested one tablet, which is just to say that I tested one of the tablets from that group of tablets, and then the net weight of the total sample. So that's the weight without the packaging. So just the tablets.
And so when you are making your conclusive statement on weight, you are solely dealing with the drugs without the package.
That's correct.
All right, so anything you see with that is just the drugs.
That's correct.
Thank you. No additional questions?
Ms. Feely, do you have questions for Ms. Eklund?
You have a copy of your report up with you?
I do.
Okay, I have one as well. This is something that you created, right?
Yes.
And you mentioned that the agency that submitted it was South Fulton, is that right?
Yes.
And the person who requested it was someone Jay White, is that correct?
That is the name that was on the submission form that we received.
Understood. And the case individuals are Austin Malone, is that correct?
Yes.
Julian Terry,
Yes.
Kyle Dixon,
Yes.
Robert Betts, right?
Yes.
And Wincliffe Adams, correct?
Yes. Those are all listed on the submission form.
Now, on the 6-page document, you did not test anything that came back positive for the presence of marijuana, is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
No.
Any questions for Ms. Eklund from our jurors? Seeing none? Thank you, ma'am. You should take your papers and your gloves, everything else.
You want me to put the?
No, ma'am, we'll let other folks
Okay.
manage that. You did a great job managing. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to stop for the day. The state is very close to resting, having no more witnesses. They may have one witness, but that person, if they're going to call, that person wouldn't be available until first thing tomorrow. So we're very much on schedule, ahead of schedule. And this break gives me an opportunity to talk with the lawyers about the law that I have to give you at the end of the trial, which could come very soon tomorrow. And I need to make sure the lawyers have had a chance to look at it and give me their thoughts about what should be included and not included in what we call the charge, the jury charge, that you'll likely be getting at some point tomorrow. So we're going to use this time wisely, but I do want to give the state a chance to see if they're going to have this witness appear first thing tomorrow. Once they rest, as I mentioned, we'll take a quick break to cover a few legal things. And then we will see if the defense is putting anything up. No burden on the defense, but of course they've got that opportunity, should they want to call witnesses. And as you saw, they've already introduced an exhibit. When you go home tonight, please don't look anything up. You're not going to see anything about this in the media, but it would be inappropriate to look up MDMA versus methamphetamine. If you had questions about that, you just missed your opportunity because I asked you if you had questions for Ms. Eklund and you didn't. So don't go online and research something like that or anything related to the case. And reminder, should people in your life ask you, how was your day today? Remember, it's those little magnets you can put on the fridge and they're all positive adjectives. It was excellent. It was thrilling. But don't go more than that because they're going to want to give you their thoughts or advice. And you can get that when the trial's over, but not in the midst of the trial because their experiences are not your experiences. It would be great, let me check the calendar, if we could, I promise you it won't be like today where I say, be here by 9 and we start at 11. It would be great if we could start as close to 9 as possible, which requires all 14 of you to be here. Who wasn't here at 9? It's okay to raise your hand because a few of you weren't. Was it a traffic thing or, gosh, you just didn't leave in time? Is it something you think you can fix tomorrow?
Bus waits up.
Okay.
Yeah,
You were
it's here at 9.
running after,
Yeah.
got it.
2 shuttles, I went with 2 shuttles.
First those shuttles. Okay. We're just glad they're running. We are working with them to see if during World Cup, they're going to be rented out. I don't know what you guys will do. You have to have a bike from the, you can pedal one of those little things and they sit in the back. Deputy Gordon from the red lot. We probably won't have a lot of jurors during the World Cup, but please try to be here by 9. We'll be ready to go with whatever remains of the trial. Okay. Logistical questions? Anyone? No? Your notepads you leave in the jury room. Don't take them home. Just pile them up. You'll know which is yours in the morning. You can put your name on it or put it in a special place. Remember that fridge is yours. If there's something you want to bring in to keep cool, you can bring it and leave it there. If there is nothing else, from you all, then you're free to go, and we'll see you at 9 tomorrow. So what if we regroup at 4 to talk about the jury charge? Is that enough time? I'll give you more time. But 4 work for the state?
Yes.
And for defense? Yes. Okay. Mr. Terry, you are more than welcome to be here for the charge conference. Talk with your lawyers about the excitement level that will have for you. And if they excuse you, there's nothing secret about it. You're welcome to stay. We're just going to be talking about the pieces of the law that the lawyers have asked for that I will give to the jury probably sometime tomorrow. Okay? All right. Thanks, everyone. I'll be back in 15 minutes.
Yes, for sure, absolutely.
Let me respond to this. Okay, let's get back on the record. Ms. Rivers, please. We're back with State versus Terry. Jury's gone. We've got our prosecutors here and 2/3 of the defense team along with Mr. Terry. I want to start with a conversation with Mr. Terry, and it has to do with your right to testify and your co-equal right to remain silent and not testify. I suspect that tomorrow morning, pretty soon after we get started, I will need to ask you on the record, outside the presence of the jury, about whether you want to testify or not. If you choose to testify, you will be subject to cross-examination from the state as well as the direct exam from your lawyer. If you choose not to testify, I'll be telling the jury that they are to draw no conclusions at all, helpful or hurtful, from the fact that you didn't testify. And I share all that with you now so that when we talk about it on the record tomorrow morning, you don't say, gosh, I need more time. I had no idea. It's coming, that conversation. And then in the end, Mr. Terry, you will need to tell me whether you're testifying. I won't ask Ms. Wood. If you say no, I'm not going to look to Ms. Wood. And are you sure? If you say yes, it's 100% your decision. You can consult with your lawyers and anyone else. But when the time comes tomorrow morning, I'll be asking you, what's your choice? And some follow-up questions about that, all on the record, but again, outside the presence of the jury. Okay? You'll be ready to have that conversation?
Yes.
Good. I look forward to it. In the meantime, we will go over the jury charge. So let me share my screen. All right. You should have on your screen now the charge. I'm going to scroll down to the first area where I have a question. If I skip over something about which either side has a question, let me know and we'll go back to it. I already made a few edits, but we'll start with stipulations. I know the way Ms. Bush, you referenced it was, hey, we're stipulating to the fact that Eklund is an expert, but really the way it played out was you asked some good questions, she gave good answers about her knowledge and experience, and then Ms. Feely said, we don't object. But you ultimately just moved to have her qualified as an expert. So I don't think that's a stipulation. I don't think there are any other stipulations. So I don't think we need the charge on stipulations. Ms. Smith, do you agree?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Agreed.
All right, that'll be out. I highlighted the immunity or leniency granted witnesses for two reasons. One, I'm going to get rid of the phrase, the word immunity. It would be leniency. And two, I just moved it. Ms. Niles, we don't often have it, and she tucked it somewhere else. I think it makes sense to come right after credibility. It's really part of the larger credibility set of charges. So I just put it in a different place. So I've highlighted defendant's choice not to testify. That's a conditional charge. I will not give it if Mr. Terry decides he wants to testify. If he elects not to testify, then I will give it as it is written. Immediately following it was the prior difficulties. I'm not sure if that snuck in someone's charge from a different trial. I'm not sure how it fits here, but I'll start with the state. Any reason we need prior difficulties here? Okay, Ms. Wood?
No.
Agreed. Parties to a crime, I am recommending that we do not instruct the jury on the fourth way you can be a party to a crime, because I don't think that someone slipped a drug to someone else and they didn't know what they were doing. Either Mr. Terry directly committed it or he helped someone else, or he encouraged someone else to do it, if the jury's thinking about party to a crime. So I think it's appropriate to cut letter D. Ms. Smith, any issues with that? Or Mr. Miller?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Wood? No. All right. And then with possession of drug-related objects, I'm not sure if there was a pattern for that, or if Ms. Niles had to wing it, but the statute lists about 20 different purposes for which you might have drug-related objects, and it sounds like it'd include like a shovel or a fertilizer. That's not this. I think we're limited here that the scale, and that's the only thing alleged, could be used to prepare, package, repackage, store, or contain a controlled substance. Not that you contain it with the scale, but you would weigh it before you put it in a container that says 1 pound or whatever it says. So I thought we ought to eliminate a whole lot of the other ings from that paragraph number 3. Does that work for the state?
It does.
Ms. Wood?
So Judge, my only issue with that, and I don't have the property sheet with me, but I think actually the scale, I know in the indictment it says the scale is used for packaging methamphetamine, but I want to say on the property sheet, it's part of the marijuana evidence. So
Right.
that's my only issue with that, Judge.
Okay. I'm happy to add back some of the ings, but I don't know what they would be, because there's no evidence that this was a grow house or that any marijuana with which your client's not associated was personally produced by any of these folks. So it's not, the first few are growing, and then there's manufacturing, you're a producer, and there's no allegation here that anyone produced it. So I still think it would be those 4, but if you think about it and you want something else included, I'm happy to. Rios is weighing in now.
I can see very well.
No.
Well, I mean, there is testimony about marijuana, so I understand you taking out the other stuff, but
Oh, you're saying marijuana should be in there.
I mean,
Got it.
I would like for that to stay in.
So let me make the real-time edit. I missed your point. So you think it should be preparing, packaging, et cetera, marijuana or a controlled substance? Okay. Any issue with that, Ms. Smith?
I'm sorry, Judge.
You weren't paying attention? It was really interesting. If you look at the screen right now, I just highlighted in gray those 2 words that Ms. Wood would like to be not stricken.
Okay, no problem.
You got no problem with that? Okay. That's it. Those are the only changes that I made to what was there. Last thing I'll say is that I've asked Ms. Niles to send me, I think she just did, but I haven't read them, some of the pattern charges on possession, because the pattern charge for trafficking, oddly, it's possessed, not sold or distributed, it's possessed. And while the jury has heard some information, some testimony that Mr. Terry briefly had the drugs in his hand, I could foresee there being a jury question like, well, wait, what does possess mean? The property sheet says it's Mr. Adams's drugs. Mr. Adams brought the drugs to the scene. I don't know that that there was much testimony that the CI ever had them in his hands. So I'm not proposing a change to the pattern charge for trafficking, if that's actually the pattern charge, but I'll take a look at it. I'm just thinking we may want to have some language in there about what possession means, because there's constructive possession and joint possession and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just flagging that as I could see jurors coming back to us with questions, and I want to have good language ready for them if you all don't want it in the charge that they get. Any thoughts about that, Ms. Smith?
Yes, Your Honor, the state agrees. There's some type of language about possessing, or what does it mean to possess? That would be great.
What is the code section? Well, I've got the indictment. You just look at the indictment. Yeah, 1331. Oh, well, I can't change what it says in the indictment, and the indictment says possession. I think, well, now I know because I see it. The statute actually says anyone who sells, manufactures, delivers, brings into the state, or otherwise possesses. And to me, sells or distributes fits a little bit better with what the facts are in this case, but we can't modify the indictment. The indictment says possession, so that'll be, I think the pattern as Ms. Niles structured it is correct because it fits what's in the indictment. So then I'll just need to think about whether I want to include a possession charge. Ms. Wood, your thoughts about all that?
I like how it is, Judge.
I bet you do. Okay. Ms. Smith, I don't want to interrupt you. I'll start with you, Ms. Wood. Any edits to the proposed charge?
I don't think so, Judge.
Do you foresee calling any witnesses other than Mr. Terry? All right. Ms. Smith, anything about the jury charge?
No, other than the possession language, but.
Okay. Well, if I stop sharing for a sec, let me see what the email said. Okay, I'm going to leave it as is for now, but I do have the pattern on actual versus constructive possession and sole and joint. If the jurors end up with questions, we can discuss what we might want to share with them in response to their question, but I don't want to try to solve a problem that isn't a problem. So I think we've got the pattern. The charge, I'll clean that up and email the final version to all of you. The only witness that you'd be recalling tomorrow morning would be Ms. Lynch, if you're able to find her and convince her to be here. Okay, got it. And then you're resting, and then we'll see what the defense is going to do. So you should be ready to go with your closing. Less than 24 hours after you gave your opening. All right. Anything else from the state?
Nothing further, thank you.
Ms. Wood, anything else for the defense?
No, Judge, thank you.
All right. If you all could be here by 9, please. Let's get rolling then, and we'll see what happens. Thanks.